forgot to unmute. You guys can't hear me anyway. The music's too fucking loud. Welcome to the show, everybody. It is the Almost Awesome Show, episode 12. I think that's what it is. I need to get that shit right. But I'm Jake, your host. Jake is as usual. But we also have with us, Nick as always, is here from Movie Emporium.
Yeah.
What's going on,
I'm
Nick?
here.
How are you doing today?
I need to go 88 miles an hour with the flux capacitor and ram it right into the future.
Right on. I hear you.
Right on, yeah.
But we got some juicy stuff to talk about today. Not a big news week, honestly, but there's a few things I wanted to talk about. We have a movie we're going to talk about, Orphan: First Kill. If you haven't seen it, we're going to talk about spoilers because that's really the main thing. And yeah, I know I was kind of like, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes. Nick actually told me. Nick saw it a little bit before me, and he says, I'm doing a spoiler cast. I think you just mentioned you were going to do a spoiler talk or something like that. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, what the hell is there to spoil about that movie? I mean, it's been I don't know what else could there be. Yeah, there is. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. We got some news stories and some little short bits and all that. But I guess before we jump into that, Nick, what do you got anything going on over at your channel? Anything you want to let everybody know about? I know we have there's an anniversary of sorts coming up, I believe, isn't there?
Yeah. The not next week, but the week after. We're gonna record next week. Will be the 1 year anniversary of the Fifth Dimension podcast, which you are currently a co-host on.
I am currently. If I remain a good boy, I will continue to be. But yes, that is a show that a show that we both or that Nick puts on that I just join up with once a week, and Triv as well. The Twilight Zone podcast, The Fifth Dimension, where we go through each episode. Each week we do one episode, and we're doing them in order of release, and we are on season 2. What are we? We're like 8-9 episodes in now?
Well, the next episode that premieres on Monday is the 10th episode of season 2.
Oh, okay, yeah, so yeah. We're
46th episode or some insane amount we're
46, because I think 45, yeah. We're in the mid-40s at this point, so we're approaching
old.
our is it really only, is it a year? I guess there was a couple of weeks we skipped. Is that why?
Yeah, no, because we skipped a couple of weeks. I was sick or I was out or something that happened. August 30th of 2021 is when me and Triv did the first episode, which was Where's Everybody? So chances are that episode, which will hopefully have a guest host, we'll post that Tuesday. So it'll be like exactly 1 year anniversary from that date. So, but we're getting there. Next one's 1 year before, 1 week before the 1 year. So,
hell yeah,
great guest for that one.
I've been there since episode 8 and then 11. I was on 8. I guested on 8, and then I think I came on 11 or 10, 11.
Yeah, you came on after a certain episode.
Yeah, I should have been there for 9. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to get me started on that shit. But
no, we have plenty of good news though.
Yeah.
I think.
Alrighty. So I guess let's go ahead and, because I don't really have anything going on to talk about. Do I? No. Oh, I did release an impromptu video yesterday that you guys hopefully check out. It's a trailer it's a different trailer reaction. It's a trailer reaction of an announcement trailer for the Sega Genesis Mini. If any of you are interested in that, or the Mini 2. And they finally announced the full games lineup, and you can watch me fanboy out over some old-ass games and show just how fucking old and nerdy I am. So check that out, little short video I threw together. It's just me. But let's go ahead and jump into this week's news bits. Ooh, I have a little...
Oh, my God, it's new.
I had an animation to go with that, but I couldn't get it to work, so now it's there. And I didn't realize our heads were going to be right in front of it. Probably need to raise that up.
Wait, hold on, so I can.
Yeah, we'll do it like this.
Oh wait, that did.
Well, that what you were doing there. No, but yeah, I might raise that up next week. It's a work in progress. Like I said when I started this show, things will evolve over time.
You go down the middle.
Yeah, there you go. Or I could do that. We'll figure it out. We'll make something happen. Or it'll just be like this next week because I don't have time to change it. I think I could change that.
We're doing it live. Fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. We're doing it live. All right. So Let's jump into this week's news bits real quick, and got a couple little interesting things, little blurbs going on in the world of entertainment. The first one, and this is a big one, Nick. This is a huge one. Streaming, like movies and shows and all that, streaming, Netflix and whatnot, has finally taken over cable and viewership for the first time this past July. Really?
No
just now?
to
I really thought this happened a long time ago, but apparently they're making a big deal about how it's finally overtaking cable. I was like, who the fuck is watching cable? Maybe it's
Apparently
just me.
some people are. I don't know. Watching that Breaking Bad, I guess. Or, Better Call Saul.
I mean, I think you can watch that on streaming, can't you?
Yeah, I think you can actually. So what the fuck's the point?
I don't know what they're watching. I did
Jeopardy.
not think that many people. I figured streaming overtook cable a long time ago, but apparently no. 2022, July of 2022. That's when it finally happened, ladies and gentlemen. Yay, I guess, and it beat it by like whatever their million view 0.03 or something like that. But I mean, hey, it beat it nonetheless. So. Good for that. So, I guess cable is going away. It's going down. I was surprised that cable was still around, but I don't know how they measure this or what. Probably the Nielsen report or something like that. I have no idea, but it's there it is.
The Nielsen report.
Yeah.
Not Nielsen, Nelson.
Yeah, or is it Nelson report? Or
no, I was making a joke.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
Anymore,
I was like, I've been saying it wrong all these years. Okay, so big news there, I guess. All right, speaking of streaming, the show, and I actually, we haven't talked about this. I didn't know if you'd seen this show or not, but the blurb is that The Sandman on Netflix has added a star-studded 2-part bonus episode 2 weeks after its premiere. Me, myself, I haven't finished this show. I watched a couple of episodes, and I just haven't watched the rest of them. I planned on it maybe this weekend or sometime. I was gonna watch it. I was gonna check it out. I found it's a neat idea. The world was neat. It's a pretty cool show. It's got some lulls. It's got some weird shit going on in it. But overall, I was enjoying what I saw, I guess. Did you watch? I know you watched at least one episode, didn't you?
I watched like half an episode. I wasn't a huge. This is just me as a comic book reader. I'm not a huge fan of Neil Gaiman's stuff. It's just who I am. I mean, I don't have any problem with the guy because he's actually really good at what he does. But I watched like half an episode. And I'm like, this just isn't for me. I love the fantasy world. I love the idea of the somebody that controls the dreams and what would happen if you get kidnapped and stuff like that. But I tried reading the graphic novel like a couple years ago and just wasn't for me. It's because it's really in depth. It's like reading like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. There's a lot there, or Fables or something like that. There's a lot there, and it just wasn't something I was really interested in. Yeah,
I get that. I mean, not
I have no problems with it.
But I probably thought a little bit more. Now I will say that the show was a little bit not difficult, but I needed to watch it for a bit, but I'm like that with a lot of TV shows. They don't like grab me right away. I need to watch a few episodes before I get into them usually. So it did take me a couple of episodes to actually get hooked, if you will, so hooked that I haven't watched the rest of it. But I think it's worth giving a shot. Watch the first few episodes. They've made some interesting changes. I'm not familiar with the graphic novel, or I know it exists, I've heard of it, but I haven't read it or anything. Constantine shows up in it, and Constantine is in the show, but it's not Constantine that you know, and I don't fully understand why this Constantine's different, because it's not supposed to be John Constantine. It's supposed to be his heir, like granddaughter or daughter, or I don't know, cousin. I don't know what it is, but Constantine's in it, and it's a she now. She, Constantine, the woman.
Yeah, I heard there's a lot of problems with that. I don't know.
I didn't have a problem with the actress is actually I can't remember her name, but she was one of the Doctor Who, one of the Doctor's companions at one point. shit, she was the one that got turned into a Dalek. I can't remember her name. I like the actress, and I don't think she did a bad job. It's just when they were saying her name, I was like, is this supposed to be John Constantine? Like Constantine from DC Comics? And I looked, and yeah, Sandman is a DC Comics, and it does take place. It crosses over with the DC Comics, and John Constantine is in the Sandman book. So
yeah, there is I think there is a Sandman meet crossover with the superheroes like Superman and stuff like that. I think that's, if I remember right, that is something that happens. But I always thought it was funny that the main character, the guy who controls the dreams, is named Morpheus, because I just was waiting for like a rape to happen, or like, you know, him to go out there and give like a big speech to everyone, or like try to find Neo or something like that. Which I'm surprised there's no one named Neo.
Zion! Yeah, I was waiting.
Hear me.
Every time they said Morpheus, that's all I could think of too. I know the name Morpheus has been around a lot longer than the Matrix, but really, now you hear Morpheus, you think of Lawrence Fishburne. But anyway, if you are a fan, or if you're just in the middle of the road for the Sandman, they apparently like shadow dropped an extra bonus episode, well, a 2-part episode, which I guess that would be 2 episodes, just the other day, and nobody knew it was coming. And part of it, or the whole thing, I'm not sure, is animated, I guess, but it's got it is directly tied to the show, and it has a lot of famous people in it, like James McAvoy. I don't have it in front of me. I just know there's a lot of famous names that were involved with it that are in the episode.
I think McAvoy was part of the audio book of Sandman or something like that, if I remember right.
Maybe that's why. I don't know.
I remember Watchmen doing that thing where they did the animated portions of the
the comic book, the motion comic for the
with Gerard Butler.
Yeah, the pirate ship thing that's going on in the background of the movie and the book. So I don't know if it's something like that, or if it's all animated. Not sure, but I do know that if you like Sandman, if you finish the show and you're like, ooh, I really enjoyed that, there's more Sandman out there. So go check your Netflix account, get some more Sandman goodness, I guess.
Give me a treat.
But hey, I guess I'll watch it eventually whenever I finish the show at some point in the next few weeks, I guess. All right, so our first bit of little gaming news today, and this is really just an informational thing, and people have been losing their minds over this in the gaming space, and that is that Death Stranding, which is a Kojima production, and it was a PlayStation 4. I think PlayStation 4 exclusive.
PlayStation 4. Yeah.
It came to PC this past year sometime, or this year, I think earlier this year. I actually own it, but I've never played it. But it came to PC, and people were kind of mad about that because the toxic community, not the fans, but the toxic community is kind of mad about anything that's an exclusive to PlayStation. How dare it go anywhere but there? But now they're even more pissed because now Death Stranding, as of the 23rd, which I think is Tuesday or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Officially
coming to Game Pass. So you know they real fucking mad about that, because it can cut if it comes to PC. If one of their exclusives comes to PC, they mad. They this is bullshit. But if it goes to anything linked to the Xbox, it's like into the fucking world. I mean, they are losing. There's one guy who was even making bomb threats to Sony. I know that's making it a little bit bigger, but this kid who put out like things saying he should plant a bomb at PlayStation headquarters because Spider-Man came to PC. But anyway, these people are fucking ridiculous. But yeah, Death Stranding is coming to Game Pass. It's PC Game Pass. It's not Xbox game. You can't get it on Xbox. It is on the PC version. It's coming to Game Pass. So if you have not played that game and you are a Game Pass Ultimate or Game Pass PC member, you can now play it as part of your subscription. I do think it's funny. The story is just kind of get that information out there for those of you that want to know. It's a very cinematic game with Norman Reedus, and I think Guillermo del Toro's in it.
Yeah, Conan O'Brien's in it as well.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Well, it's very cinematic. It's a pretty game. I will say that much. From what I've seen, it's a really pretty looking game. I might stream that one day, but it looks good. I know it's been very divisive as far as like some people love it and some people just hate it. And this was long before all this, like when it was just exclusive on the PlayStation. Some people are just like, I'm not into this game. It's a weird game. You walk around and deliver packages and something about babies. I don't know. But either way, you didn't. Did you play it? Have you played the game?
I played about 20 hours of it, and
Oh shit.
it takes about 20 hours to start the story. I'm just kidding. No, I was not a fan of it, but it's definitely a pretty game. I'll give it that much. And there is a weird baby, and Guillermo del Toro and Mads Mikkelsen's in it, and
Oh.
um,
Well, now I see. I want to play it just for that stuff, but yeah, it's
yeah,
one of those
there's
games I heard
weird
you got to
shit.
like play for a long time to get into it. There was a Final Fantasy like that where people were like, "Oh man," everybody was trash, and I can't remember which one, but they were saying, "Oh, it's not any good." But it's an awesome Final Fantasy game. After you got to like play something like 40 hours. After the 40th hour, it's awesome. I was like, dude.
You gotta hook me in like the credit sequence of the first 5 seconds, or otherwise I'm gonna go play something else.
Yeah, I'll even like a TV show. I'll even give it a few hours.
Mm.
You know, if a game like takes a few hours to hook you, okay, I get that. It's cool. Learn the mechanics and stuff happen, but fucking hell, 40 hours. After 40 hours, it gets awesome. Everything that first 40 hours sucks though. I mean, that's not like saying, man, the tutorial's real bad, but once you get past it, it's great. No, 40 fucking hours, but that's a totally different game.
Oh, it's like Wolfenstein: The New Order. That tutorial sucked, but once you get past that tutorial, that game's fucking awesome.
Yeah, see I can deal with that. I can deal with a bad
Yeah.
level, not a whole bad game to get to the good game. But I'm not saying that that's what this one is. It sounds like it may be, but it's coming if you're interested. And I'm not gonna lie. And while yes, the Xbox, as far as consoles go, like new consoles, is my preferred platform. I have nothing against the other platform. I just kind of find it fun. Even if I was like hardcore PlayStation only fan and hated Xbox, I would still find it funny that people are losing their minds over this dumbass shit. It's a fucking video game. Who cares? It's not like they took it off of PlayStation and said, you can't have this anymore. It's going over here. No, just more people can play it. Get the fuck over yourself. But, okie dokie. Moving on to the next thing. Now I want to get your opinion on this, Nick. Grease. You know, John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John. Unfortunately, Olivia Newton-John, recently the singer-actress, passed away. But Grease, in honor of her, is getting a release, a limited re-release, a limited re-release in theaters at AMC, I believe it is, in honor of Olivia Newton-John's death? I don't think they put it like that it was in honor of her death, but she passed away last week, and now they're re-releasing Grease for everybody to experience it in theaters for a few days. And while on the surface this sounds, well, that's nice, you get to thinking about it and I'm like, it kind of comes across as a little bit dirty to me, because it's like, oh, she died, let's capitalize on that and release this movie. Now, I will say, I don't have all the stuff in front of me that they said, but part of ticket sales, it is a discounted rate to get in. My understanding is like $5. Okay, nowadays $5 to see a movie, that's at an AMC theater, that's really cheap. Part of that admission is going to she died of breast cancer, is going to the breast cancer charity. That's great. $1 off of each ticket is going to that. So there's $4 more. Now I understand they have a price of operation costs and stuff like that. There has to be a percentage that goes to operations. I don't feel like, what would that be, like 80%? So about 20% of this is going to, yeah, exactly, 20% is going to this charity, and 80% is going to wherever it's going. I don't think 80% of it is. If you really, and they were really working it up like, oh, it's in honor of her and it's because of her and all this. I'm like, no, I feel like it's so you can make money. I feel like you're doing this you're a business, and I will never fault a business for making money because that's what they're there to do. But damn, this is kind of it's kind of dirty feeling. This person just passed away, and you're throwing it out there. Now, I mean, if they wanted to come out and be like, hey, $4 is going to breast cancer and $1 is going here because we got to operate these places. We got to pay for the movie. They got to pay for the rights of the movie. They got to pay for this. They got to pay for that. I get that. It still kind of comes across as you trying to make a profit, and you're just throwing this dollar out there to kind of save face and say, hey, guys, no, we're doing it for her, or we're doing it for other people in honor of her. No, it sounds like you're trying to make it, you trying to turn a few extra bucks. What do you think of this? Am I just being like, am I being a dick? What do you think?
Well, I mean, you're always being a dick. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's I mean, I told you earlier about the iTunes thing where they'll just automatically put up, oh, buy this film from blah 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 who just passed away. I'm like, every company will do something.
Like when Joel Schumacher died, it's all of a sudden like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin showing up all over like streaming platforms. Like, hey, buy this at a discounted rate.
Exactly. I don't know. I mean, if it were like a Fathom Events type of thing, it wouldn't matter. But it's like all of a sudden she dies. Oh, we're having Grease is the word pop up on AMC theaters. I'm like, okay. Well, I mean, I guess $5. I mean, I guess some money may go towards breast cancer research. It's just it also depends on how many people are going to go see it. But it's just like you're
Well, it's
not
a
wrong
limited
for thinking
thing,
that.
so I'm sure Greece is big enough. There'll be enough people that'll be like, "Hey, I want to see that in theaters." You know, I think enough people will be there to fill the theater. I could be wrong, but I think you said it was actually yesterday, as of this recording. It's already.
Well,
I don't know how many days it's going for, but you said did it start yesterday?
I mean, they did one yesterday. I'm checking today to see if there's.
So it's already either happened or happening. I don't know how many days they're doing this for. If it's a, it did say it was a limited re-release. So
They did it today too. So I'm assuming it's
probably
maybe
through
over
the
the weekend
weekend.
or a week. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I've seen scummier things been done, but it's just you can tell they're trying to capitalize on what happened. So,
and that's the
it is
part. I don't
unfortunate.
think, and no, I don't think this is the worst thing in the world. But it's that somebody I guess I didn't like how that if they just put it out there and said, "Hey, we're really re-releasing Grease in honor of her," and that's it. We're like, all right, but no, you throw that $1 in there. I'm like, don't try and make it sound like you're doing something, like you're doing this for a reason that you're not. Because if you were, you'd be like, every single amount of money that we don't have to operate, we're gonna put towards it. Don't act like it's for a charity.
I mean, this is like 2 screenings a day. They're
not
making
gonna be
enough
a ton
money
of
off
money, but
popcorn.
movie
Yeah,
theaters
they're
need all the
making
money
enough
they can
off
right now.
popcorn. No, yeah, we'll find out about that later. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's you said something. You said popcorn. They movie theaters always. That's why their concessions cost so much because they don't make a lot of tickets. With this, they make it's not a new movie, but they make all their money off of concessions. Like I talked to a guy, a theater owner one time. I have a friend of mine who runs a theater, and he was like, it is different for every movie because they have contracts for more or less renting the rights to these movies. They don't get a lot. The studios and how much it costs to have these movies do.
When I think one of the Star Wars movies they talked about was either like Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker. It was like a 90-10 split. So 90% went to the studio, 10% went to the blah, blah, blah.
It's something crazy like that.
Yeah. And then like as the weeks go, but they had that. Most times it'll be like a 50-40 split or
Like
60-40 split.
It works its way down.
Yeah. 60-40 split. Next weekend it'll be a little bit less and a little bit less, as a movie. Because, the most money is always made on the first weekend. So.
Oh, for sure. It's always going to be declining unless it's like some word of mouth movie. Most movies are like that.
Yeah, like Top Gun.
Yeah. But this movie, I doubt this one costs, I doubt they were getting that crazy split like that. They're probably getting, at least a 50-50 on it because they're just, you can go buy the movie. Well, I'm sure it's not costing as much as like a brand new movie for them. So they're making money off of this. Plus, that's not taking any concession or taking concessions into account. Like I said, it's really that $1 thing. It's that they threw it out that they're trying to do something honorable, and I'm like, is it though? I don't know. But hey, if you are a fan of Grease, which I'm not a huge fan of Grease,
my friend's a fan of Grease, so I told him about it. He's like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, if I had realized this and had a little bit extra time, my wife's a huge Grease fan. I probably would have taken her to see it, so I would have contributed to that. But I'm not a huge fan of Grease. But if you are a fan of Grease, you can go see it in theaters. There is a theater experiences. It's worth going to see in some movies. Like we're going to talk about one in a little while that I'm looking forward to a re-release that I'm going to go see in theaters that I've seen.
Yeah, just go 20 minutes later. Yeah, just go 20 minutes later. Fucking
all right,
trailers.
So Jamie Foxx. How do you feel about Jamie Foxx, Nick? You like Jamie Foxx?
He's fine. He's good. He's a guy that acts that won an Oscar.
He does. He sings sometimes too. But he re-released, not re-released. He released, or not he. Netflix actually released a movie that he is headlining about a week ago called Day Shift. I planned on doing a review, but I kept on getting blocked to do it. Overall, enjoyable enough. Not like the best movie on my rating scale. I'd say it was worth the stream. It's worth streaming, which is where it is. I think it's in its right place. It didn't need to go to theaters. Fun enough.
Can I make a confession?
Sure.
I didn't watch Day Shift. I actually chose to watch the Why Cats Are the Way They Are instead of Day Shift. I think I made the right choice. What? Yeah, there's a cat documentary. I'm like, it's got to be better than Day Shift.
Well, Day Shift wasn't awful. Day Shift was fine. It was. Right. It's fine. That's all. I mean, it's not going to be in anybody's top 10 worst or best of the year. It's just kind of it's fine. It's got some issues, but it's a nice afternoon watch on streaming. I was not offended by it nor blown away, but it had some cool stuff in it. But we're not talking about Day Shift. While being interviewed about Day Shift, someone asked Jamie Foxx about a movie he directed, his directorial debut in 2016, a movie called All-Star Weekend. It's a kind of an all-star studded cast on there as well, with people like Robert Downey Jr. and some other people I don't have in front of me, but lots of people in it. He got lots of people from Hollywood to make this comedy movie that people have seen it and they said it is really funny, but it's like that old school type of comedy. It's Superbad-esque, kind of like, it's a really funny movie. That movie still hasn't come out. It's been shelved since 2016. It is done, in the can, ready to be. People have seen it, like I said. He was asked about it because it's known that he made it, and people saying, when is this coming out? Is All-Star Weekend finally coming out? And he said, no, not right now. It's his choice. He is choosing to leave it on the shelf. And his reasoning is he says, we will release it. I'm going to release it. I could. But he said, I don't want to release it until people go back to laughing again. Talking about how the state of the world has been for the past 5 or so years. He's saying people just kind of have lost their sense of humor. And this is also going to the whole thing about how many comedians have been saying, because Jamie Foxx is a comedian as well. He did stand-up. Many comedians have been saying that it's, comedy is dying. You can't make comedy. A lot of the time is at someone else's expense, and it's a delicate balance of how you do that. But many comedians, such as Rowan Atkinson, John Cleese, Dave Chappelle, just lots of people, even Chris Rock, I think he commented on it, have been saying comedy is not what it used to be. You can't say things anymore because you say something and they'll shut you down. And that's more or less what it sounds like Jamie Foxx is saying here is like, I want to go back. I want to get back to when people are okay to laugh at things again, and then we'll release this really funny movie. And I want to see it. I hate to see a movie shelved, especially when people are saying it's good. But, I mean, I get where he's coming from. Because if it's a movie, because he has Robert Downey Jr. is in it, and apparently he plays a Mexican. Because he saw him play the Lazarus character in Tropic Thunder. So it's been likened to Tropic Thunder in many ways. You couldn't release Tropic Thunder nowadays. It would not get the positive reception it got then. I mean, people like it now, but that's because it came out then.
It's this generation's Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, very much so. And so I kind of get where he's coming from. He's like, I've got this movie. A lot of people are saying it's good, but I don't know if the masses will. If they'll allow me to have this movie come out if it pushes a lot of boundaries. So, I mean, he apparently, once again, this is just more informational than anything. If you've heard of this movie, it's eventually coming. He said he's going to release it. It's not like he's not releasing because it's bad. He's releasing it because he's afraid people just won't get it right now. So hopefully the world does change back around to where we can have some good comedy again. Because I do agree with that. But I agree with it and I disagree with it. Because I think when somebody does, in today's climate, have the balls to get up and do that old school comedy and do it right, like someone like Dave Chappelle, he catches a lot of flack. A lot. But he also, people love it. I think the majority want that. They want to laugh again. We want to go back to these things that are funny because, it's fun to laugh at people. It is what it is.
Yeah.
If you laugh at there's laughing at someone in a malicious way, and then there's laughing at someone in a we're all laughing together way. And that's what I feel like someone like Dave Chappelle's type of comedy is, or all the great comedians. That's what their comedy was. They're able to laugh at everyone, including themselves. I think that's the key. You have to be able to look in the mirror and laugh at yourself too, and be able to look at it and say, I'm a fucking idiot. And people won't do that anymore. They're okay with laughing at everybody else, but when the camera's on them, when the mirror's on them, they just don't. They're like, no, you can't laugh at me. So hopefully we'll get back to that, and we'll get to see this movie. And if all reports are true, then Jamie Foxx's All-Star Weekend is pretty good. So be looking forward to it in 2035.
I got 2035. I got Henry writes, I talked to some of my Mexican friends about Robert Downey Jr. They said that he is a hero and he is welcome anytime in Mexico. They wouldn't mind RDJ being Mexican at all.
Well, awesome. Well, I because the Robert Downey Jr. was one of the best parts of Tropic Thunder, and
they got an Oscar nomination. So
yeah, how they took that role. I mean, he was doing blackface, and they made it work, and I think that was hilarious because it was
a full retard.
Yeah, and some of the stuff he said, it was just, they weren't, because even then that was controversial, but they didn't get held back by these social norms and these boundaries. They said screw the boundaries, and it was the best part. And that's when comedians nowadays, even though comedy is kind of dying, it's dying because it's being allowed to. So I think if these comedians would just say fuck it, excuse me, much like Dave Chappelle has, and get out there. I don't agree with every single thing Dave Chappelle says, but I do think he's really funny, and his comedy's great because he says, fuck it, I'm not going to change because you're going to tell me I can't do this anymore. I'm going to do me. That's what I've always done. Plus, I mean, but on the flip side of that, Dave Chappelle got a shit ton of fucking money. He'll be fine for the rest of his life. So I know he doesn't have as much to worry about, but either way. HBO Max. You got HBO Max, right, Nick?
I do.
Well,
indeed.
You might be happy to hear that you may. Well, I don't think you will, but you could. And if someone's interested in HBO Max, they could be getting a discount. I think this might just be for new subscribers, or you may have to change your plan. But HBO Max is discounting annually. It has a new tier pretty much, and they're discounting it 30%. And this is mostly to try and make up for the dozens and dozens of titles that have suddenly left the platform due to this whole HBO Max Warner Brothers Discovery shakeup that's been going on. So a shit ton of programming has left the platform, some of which that was the only place you could get it. And they're saying, hey, here's 30% off. So we're kind of fucking the service right now, which that service was actually doing really well. They were almost at 100 million subscribers, or whatever they call it. So, I mean, the service has been a success. But, yeah, this whole shakeup where they're taking stuff off, people aren't happy about it. What do you think of this? Do you think that they should... I guess the question is, what do you think of this? And do you think that this 30% should have been just kind of spread across to everybody, if nothing else, at least for a period of time? Because I think it's actually an ad tier. But people are saying it's being reported that it is. They pushed it out just now to kind of make up for this purge, if you will.
It's actually 40%, believe it or not. Oh, when you prepay
really?
for the year, it's 40%. So you have to prepay for the entire year. So I like HBO Max. I hated it when it first came to be, but I got it for free through was it AT&T or whatever it was. You got it for free. And it became a service that I really liked. But I have huge problems with some of the stuff. I know it's an ad. I know it's cost cutting and stuff like that. But they got rid of like 200 episodes of Sesame Street, which I love me some Sesame Street. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, why is that? I read that, and I know there was a recent
it's all about
Sesame
money.
Street controversy. Is
some contract. It's probably a contract.
Okay.
Yeah, contract thing. But they got rid of all these movies and stuff like that. And it's just like, because they don't want to pay residuals and stuff like that. It's just like, at some point, you got to rebalance your whole system. And I know that's what they're doing and all that stuff like that. But it's like, you're turning HBO Max into something that is not as exciting as it once was. Just, I don't know.
Well, I like HBO Max. Now, granted, I don't use it as much as I should, but every time I go on there, it is kind of like a refreshing change from Netflix. HBO Max reminds me a lot of what Netflix used to be, because Netflix has turned into more TV shows and series and their originals good. And they got movies, but it's all lots of Netflix originals. and TV shows. It used to be the place for movies, and Hulu was the place for TV shows.
Yeah.
But now it's like oversaturated with TV shows. I feel like you can find the movies, but like this is what it puts in front of your face. And HBO Max seemed like it's got TV shows too, but it had more movies. And it just seemed like I was happy with the service. I haven't checked out in a while, but I'm happy with it. But I don't know what all's left the service. The whole Warner Brothers Discovery thing is just so up in the air. I think that this could be exactly what Warner Brothers needs. But we won't know that for probably a year. I mean, it's going to take.
Get rid of. Can they buy all the Melissa McCarthy and Ben Falcone stuff and just purge that into oblivion?
Yeah, that needed to be the dozens and dozens of things that they purged because
I think they did purge whatever they worked on. So
okay, well that's that. There's a silver lining to all this. But anyway, if you're an HBO Max subscriber, you might want to go in there and check and see if something you love might not be there anymore. I don't know, and this might not affect a lot of people. Maybe the stuff they took off was just a bunch of shit nobody was watching. I don't know. It sounds like it was a monetary thing, which everything is. But okay, moving into our last little news bit of the week before we get into the big hard-hitting stories, we're going to talk about Bethesda ZeniMax, or Microsoft Bethesda ZeniMax real quick. Just a little informational thing. As some of you may or may not know, Gamescom, which is kind of like the European E3, that's kind of a simplification because Gamescom is actually bigger than E3. But either way, Gamescom, another big video game-centric trade show, is happening August 23rd. Starts on this Tuesday, I believe it is. Kicks off with Jeff Keighley's little show that he does yearly. Going to have some announcements and stuff like that. They usually don't have as many big announcements at Gamescom. It's more just a lot of shit. They have announcements, but E3 is known for its announcements. But either way, Gamescom, and everybody's putting out there, all the companies are saying, like, here's an idea of what we're going to have. Come to our show or watch our show because we're going to have this, we're going to have that, and some extra stuff and blah, blah, blah. Well, Bethesda, because even though they are owned by Microsoft, they still kind of, like, do their own thing. They put out a blog post saying a lot of the stuff they would have, and in the original blog post, it mentioned Starfield and Redfall. Now, those are their two big games that got delayed this year. Starfield, of course, most people have heard of. It's the Fallout in space. And everybody was really looking for that. Very disappointed that it got pushed off until early next year. But you know what? I'd rather have a good game tomorrow than a shit game today. And Redfall as well was pushed off, which was a game, honestly, I originally was not really that hyped on. But the more I see about it, I'm like, this game actually looks pretty fucking cool. But either way,
some of the stuff they're talking about with that game it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, because they have been showing a lot about it recently, and it looks cooler and cooler every time I see it. I thought it was going to be like a multiplayer focused game. No, it's single player. It's got multiplayer. It's got everything in there, and they do have a big single player focus on it. So I'm getting more and more excited about that game. But apparently, Bethesda removed Starfield and Redfall from their Gamescom blog post. They put it up there. It was in there, and then they kind of just, in the night, like a thief in the night, took those two, the little line that said something about them being in there, out. Now, they did not say that those two wouldn't be there. They just said, and we know that Redfall, apparently it has been confirmed, Redfall will be there. They are showing something about it, probably just some gameplay or something. But Starfield's the one everybody's really like, we need more Starfield. We want to know more about it. When is the actual date? And that's kind of like the big game. It's supposed to be the big game of this year, hoping it'll be the big game of next year. But people want to know more about it. And they were excited about that. Now it's just been taken away. What do you think? Do you think this means that... Because I think people are expecting... Because Starfield showed up at E3 in like a little gameplay trailer-esque thing. But now people they're like, okay, we're working up to this thing. Keep that hype train going. Since it got delayed, at least show us what you're doing. Give us something to say, okay, the wait is worth it till next year. What do you think they're going to do? Do you think Starfield's just going to not be there? And if so, how does this affect Bethesda and Microsoft?
I think they should focus on They should do what Nintendo does and focus on Starfield when it's ready to be focused on, because obviously when they had the release date in November, whatever this year, I think they put it out last
November
year.
11th.
November 11th. Oh, yeah. And we were, to me personally, I was watching them like, I texted my friends, I'm like, It ain't never gonna happen. There's no way this game's coming out in November. And they should just like go radio silent, not even bring it to Gamescom. Bring it when it's ready. Redfall looks like it's almost ready. I mean, yeah, it got pushed back to next year, but they started releasing some like actual footage for it. They released how like some of the bosses are going to be bigger than the stage, how some of the stages are bigger than I think Prey's whole entire gameplay stage or whatever. So I think the problem is these people are they're too ready to release shit, and then it takes like 6 years. That's why Rockstar does it as well as they do, because they're like, fuck you guys, we're going to release something when we're ready to release something. And that's what they should do with Starfield. Just release it when it's ready. I don't need it. It's like Nintendo. Just release it when it's fucking ready, and that's it.
I think they are. I do think that that's what was behind the cancellation, or not cancellation. The the pushing it back to next year. They finally had to come to terms and be like, we know this is going to be a big bad one, but it's just not going to be up to where we want it to be. They don't need another Fallout 76. So I think that they are going to release it when it's ready, but I think that there's pressure on them to put something out there to say, hey, here's to keep the hype train going.
Yeah, I hope Xbox and Microsoft and Phil Spencer have told Bethesda, just get your bugs out of your fucking game. Just fix this fucking system that you have. Hopefully they have their, I guess, are they using Unreal Engine? I think maybe for the game.
They are using a new engine. I don't know if it's Unreal or not.
Yeah,
but they're using something new.
Just make sure the game works. Don't be fucking like give me a game where like we can mod it so quickly because there's so many fucking glitches. I don't need that shit.
I mean, it's a Bethesda game. There will be a certain amount of glitches. It's just how, as long as they're not game breaking, I'm cool with it. I mean, the fire shitting dragons and in Skyrim are epic.
Yeah,
they didn't break the game. You just see dragons and like shooting.
PS3 did, yeah.
So I was okay with that, but me myself, I don't know what this means. I don't know if this means that like it's just not going to be there. If it's not there, it ain't the end of the world for me. I know that Microsoft is like, hey man, I think Microsoft's probably telling them, do what you got to do. We don't want you to have a shit game come out, but we do want this game to come out because we got a lot riding on this. They got a lot of other games coming, but Starfield is a behemoth. It's huge. I mean, just a hot take for me, God of War Ragnarok, they wouldn't put out a release date or even stick to saying that game was coming out this year until Starfield got delayed. Most people were saying, it's probably God of War's probably coming out early next year. And now it's coming out, I think, 3 days before Starfield was originally supposed to. Yeah. I do not think that if Starfield had hit that November 11th date, that God of War would be coming out on that day. Because God of War is a big game, but Starfield's got huge amounts of they both do. They're both probably going to be solid games, but I don't think that they wanted to go up against something like that.
The thing I don't want it to have happen with Starfield is I don't want a No Man's Sky or whatever that game is that never seems to come out of alpha. The one that Star Citizen, the one that's like $600 billion have been put into it. I just want the game to be good. Yeah. Whatever that fucking game, the Wing Commander guy game or whatever.
Yeah. And I think, and that's how I look at these delays. I'm like, okay, it's delayed. They delayed it they did not delay this game because they wanted to. Like, I don't think anybody there wanted to delay it, especially after putting a date out there and making such a big deal about it. No, they didn't want to, but, shit happens. I would rather them just delay it.
Cyberpunk.
Because, exactly. If it comes out and it's amazing, like if it comes out in February, and a lot of people are saying they think it's going to be February, but if it comes out, whenever it comes out, if it's just, like, amazing, it'll make it, nobody will remember the delay. They'll be like, oh, well, this fucking game's amazing, so... But if you're looking forward to it at Gamescom, there's a chance it won't be there. Redfall definitely will be. Don't know if it'll be anything new, but there will be stuff there. It seems like Redfall's a little bit further along, even though they said that Starfield would be coming first. I don't know. We'll see. But Starfield, Redfall, may or may not have a big presence next week. We'll find out. By the time you may be watching this little blurb of news here, you may already know. We'll see. Because I think that Bethesda has their little thing right there in the beginning of the week. It may be Tuesday or Wednesday, so we'll know around the 23rd. Hopefully, I mean, I'd like it to be there, but if it's not, it ain't the end of the world. The fucking game's still coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty. That's it for our news bits for this week. If you found any of that interesting, let us know in the comments below. That was quite a few of them. We actually talked about those more than I planned on it, which is kind of like par for the course here, but Let's
Yeah,
jump
yeah.
on into our first story of the week, which is this is a could be taken as a positive or a negative, I guess, depending on who you are, and we're gonna talk about Lord of the Rings and how it has been embraced. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. I got a little bit of information I'm going to throw out about this, and then we will discuss. The Embracer Group, which is not a tech giant, they're a company. They've been buying up a lot of video game companies, especially, but not just video games. That's just the one we've been hearing about. They're huge. Over the past few years, they all of a sudden have just been buying up all these big properties, and they're actually one of the biggest video game publishers or owners of publishers out there right now. But the Embracer Group has announced that they have acquired Middle-earth Enterprises and now hold the rights to the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit. In a statement from them, key upcoming works set in Middle-earth in which Middle-earth Enterprises has financial interest include the much-heralded Amazon series, The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, the animated movie, Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim, made by Warner Brothers, set for release in 2024, and the mobile game, Lord of the Rings, Heroes of Middle-earth by Electronic Arts. Now, this doesn't mean that Embracer is going to cancel already announced projects such as Rings of Power, even though it costs a shit ton of money, the one over on Amazon. What they had to say about it was, what it does mean is, opportunities include exploring additional movies based on iconic characters such as Gandalf, Aragorn, Gollum, Galadriel, Eowyn, and other characters from the literary works of J.R.R. Tolkien, and continue to provide new opportunities for fans to explore this fictive world through merchandising and other experiences. The Swedish company, Embracer Group, already owns video game companies such as Gearbox, THQ Nordic, and several other studios and properties from Square Enix, plus more. Outside of games, though, they also own Dark Horse Comics, which they purchased a little while back, and now Middle-earth. What this means, what I didn't put here, is that they own everything Lord of the Rings, everything Tolkien, pretty much, with the exception of the literary publications. So anything that has Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or anything Tolkien related is theirs now, except for the books, or the publication of the books of the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and such. So anything else, any video game, any show, any movie, anything is theirs. And they have a controlling interest in it. They own all of it. So what do you think this means? Given those are the comments, basically. I mean, they had a little bit more to say, but that was the basic comments that they have here. They can go in. They could right now, if they wanted to go up there to Amazon and say, nope, you can't do this. They could do that. They say they're not. They're not going to cancel the show or anything like that. But they're talking about. I don't think they're as concerned with what is happening and what's going to happen because they got stake. They're going to get money for that. I think they're more concerned with what are we going to do next. And they're talking about Gandalf shows, Aragorn shows, Gollum shows, Galadriel, all these different characters. I mean, those were just examples they gave. What do you think's going to happen from all this, Nick?
I hope it doesn't turn into a Lucasfilm situation. That's where I hope. I hope there's no. Here's how I look at it. If you're gonna do this, there's already a Gollum game, which I actually wish Embracer would actually cancel because it looks like shit.
It did just get delayed a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, because it looks like shit. I honestly
tell us how you really feel.
If it looks like. No, I'm just not I'm not a fan of when these companies buy these large conglomerates buy these name popular products because a lot of times they'll run into the ground. I mean, look at Marvel and look at Star Wars and I hate to keep harping on Disney. But it's just like where's our fucking where's some good Muppets properties? Not more Star Wars and Marvel. I don't know. We'll see what happens. They own it, like you said, Dark Horse Comics. So actually, I wouldn't mind them doing a coexisting thing with Lord of the Rings and Dark Horse Comics, doing some really cool stuff there with the Silmarillion and stuff like that.
Oh, like a comic book version?
Yeah, like a comic book series or something like that. But
Marvel's Didn't Marvel do some Lord of the Rings comic? I could be wrong. I don't know.
They
Maybe I'm
may
talking
have.
out my ass.
I don't know.
Marvel's
Yeah,
not
no, they for all you know, for all we know, they probably did. But I mean, I don't know. They have to make money off this. That's why they bought it. They knew they could make a shit ton of money off this. I mean, they literally just spent $500 million on one season of television for the Powers of the Ring or Ring of Power or whatever. So, if it were me, I don't like the fact that conglomerates buy stuff like this because they run it into the ground. But you know. Maybe we'll get more stuff, and maybe it'll be good. Maybe it'll be better than what the fucking Hobbit shit was when it came out, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, by the way. It's almost 10 years since the Hobbit came out, by the way.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
I
will say this about Embracer. They don't seem like they just given like they own more than I mentioned here, but just what I have in front of me, Gearbox, THQ Nordic, and Square Enix. Now, they just bought the Square Enix part. They didn't buy Square Enix. They bought some of the properties off them, like Tomb Raider. They own Tomb Raider, by the way.
Okay, hey, get A24 to do the Daniels.
Yeah, the Daniels. Yes, Embracer. There you go. We got one for you. Call me. The new Tomb Raider movie. You need, since they own Tomb. I don't know if they don't own the right. Well, I guess they. No, they don't own the film rights, I guess. I guess the film rights... They own Tomb Raider game. I guess the film rights are through somebody else. But, yeah, make that happen, Embracer. But they don't seem... I could be totally wrong here. Just going off of what... This is my armchair analyst look at it. They don't seem like they get into a company and, like, start forcing them to do things. Because I look at,
Microsoft's like that.
Do what?
Microsoft's like that. They don't force these companies to do. They just do what you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, they're more like, hey, we're going to give you money, just do stuff. I mean, I'm sure that there's some stuff that they mandate, but they seem like they just are financing these things. Now, that is a double-edged sword because, I mean, I look at Gearbox. Admittedly, Gearbox hasn't really had a lot come out in a while. Well, I guess they had
Borderlands no more Aliens
3
games.
Well, yeah, and that was a while back. And THQ Nordic, THQ Nordic actually has a lot of stuff. They just put this blast of stuff they have coming out. But it doesn't seem like, oh, this is totally different from what they used to do. It seems like Embracer is kind of just like, we're going to buy you. We think you could be profitable. Here's some money. Go make some shit. Hopefully that's what they're doing. Now, that is a double-edged sword. Microsoft ran into this problem with a couple of its studios, especially its bigger ones. Some of the studios were saying, hey, we appreciate the hands-off approach, but at the same time, this studio needs some management. We need someone to come in here and lay some law down. The hands-off works with some studios, but some of them, they need you to come in and be like, hey, you need to do some shit. So I am wondering, could we get some middle ground? What they're going to do with this, who knows? Lord of the Rings is a huge property. All these properties are huge that they own. I am reserving judgment because I don't know what they're going to do with it. I would like to think, especially with this show coming out, there's going to be a lot of renewed interest in the property. I'm more worried that if there's not renewed interest, if there's not like an already preset interest in something, that they're just kind of like, well, we're not going to push anything. We just own it. But so maybe Lord of the Rings will get some play. Whether they're going to go the Disney route and oversaturate the market with just like Lord of the Rings this, Lord of the Rings that, Tolkien. We got the Gollum show and the fucking Tom Bombadil show and all that. I mean, I hope not. That's not what I want from it because I don't want it to turn into Marvel and Star Wars.
Tom Bombadil show.
I take it as a musical.
No, you know what I want out of Lord of the Rings? I want a show that doesn't deal with the ring. That's what I want. Like the Rings of Power, I'm interested, but I want something that deals with, like, Gondor or something like that. That's what I've always wanted, like the Dark Tower.
Well,
like,
well, that's the interesting thing.
But also do the fourth book. Tell us a story there too. Like that's what I want. I don't want to Wizards and Glass. I don't need a fucking another Lord of the Rings story. Like I don't care about the ring anymore. To be fair.
Well, that's the interesting thing about the Tolkien universe. It's not just about the rings. There's a lot of shit that isn't about the Rings of Power. But since those movies, as much as I love those movies, since those movies came out, that's all anything to do with Lord of the Rings, with the exception of Battle for Middle-earth, which is a great game. Everything has to do with Sauron and the ring, the Ring of Power, and all these other things. I'm like, tell us Tell us something else. I mean, The Hobbit kind of did that. The Hobbit does tie into The Ring, and the Hobbit movies, they tied more into the Lord of the Rings than the original book was, but there's a lot of stories and a lot of shit that happened in that universe and that world that had fuck all nothing to do with the rings. The rings aren't the only thing there. Tell us something else, because it's so much so. It used to be the Tolkien universe or world. Now it's the Lord of the Rings. Everything is the Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is one part of that world. Mm-hmm. It's a big part, admittedly, but that's one part, the most popular part, but there's more to tell. Make the other parts popular. It doesn't sound like that's what Amazon's doing.
Tell me about the time the Hobbits opened up a strip club or something like that. I don't know.
Them Hobbits are little frisky fuckers, so they may have.
Yeah,
but
they are.
Yeah, we don't know where this is going as of yet, but yeah, Lord of the Rings, more or less as a whole, just about all of it is now owned by Embracer Group. Whether that's, I haven't heard it. What you hear about Embracer Group whenever they come up is, oh, they bought something else, which they did here. So I can't really say there's a negative thing towards them. People say that they're buying up a bunch of shit, which I find funny because people talk about Microsoft all the time. They're becoming a monopoly within the video game space. They don't own nearly as much as Embracer Group. Nobody ever talks about them. Embracer owns like a much larger percentage. Nobody's like, oh, they're a monopoly, we need to do something about it. No, it's just because it's Microsoft doing it. But whatever. Is this a negative thing? Or I don't know. It could be a good, could be a bad. This is kind of like the story we were talking about a few minutes ago. We're just going to have to wait to see. This is like the Warner Brothers Discovery thing. It could go either way. I love this property, so I hope they don't fuck it. But, time will tell. I'm sure we'll find out sooner than later, like within the next year or two, if we start getting a bunch of announcements for a bunch of bullshit shows or something like that. I say bullshit shows. Maybe they'll be amazing, but we'll see. But either way, Lord of the Rings, now owned by Embracer Group. Good for them. Alrighty. Next on the list, let's talk about Avatar real quick. And no, we're not going to talk about Avatar Way of Water. I mean, we'll mention it. But this is a different story. This is a more interesting story. This is something when I read this, I wasn't surprised at all. Avatar can no longer see you. Yeah, that's a bad joke. It's a unless you're like really big into Avatar lore, you didn't get that. But anyway, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. If you know, you probably say, dude, that's a terrible joke. But anyway, Avatar, which is now owned, by the way, was owned by Fox. Fox got acquired by Disney. So it is now owned by Disney. The only place you could stream it, I mean, you could buy physical, of course. The only place you could stream it was on Disney+. A little bit of background. Avatar has quietly disappeared from Disney Plus without any prior notice to subscribers worldwide. Oh no! So why do you think that is? I'll tell you why exactly it is. Avatar is set to be re-released in theaters next month on September 23rd. That's great. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to go see that. I love Avatar, and the Avatar theater experience was something.
It better be in 3D too.
Oh sure, it can. They wouldn't dare. That's one of the reasons I want to see it, because Avatar still to this day has some of the best. It has the best 3D I've ever experienced from a movie, and the theater experience for Avatar in 3D was jaw dropping. It was amazing. I enjoy the movie too. I know the movie has a lot of critics, but I enjoyed the movie. But the 3D was absolutely fucking amazing, and the 3D in the second one, because I finally got to see that trailer in 3D at a theater in IMAX, was pretty fucking amazing too. They know how to. James Cameron knows how to do it. But anyway, it's coming out the 23rd, and suddenly it disappears off of Disney Plus. Also, Avatar: Way of the Water, the sequel, releases December 16th, 2022. They're re-releasing Avatar in preparation for that, which, by the way, I've been saying they were going to do since 2019. Just throwing that out there. But so they didn't really say why they took it off of Disney Plus, Nick. I have my feelings. I know why. But why do you think that it suddenly disappeared off of Disney Plus? Worldwide, by the way, not just in the U.S., worldwide. Well, why would that be? I mean, it could be, before you say, some have speculated it could be a rights thing. It could be, rights to other streamers. But usually rights to movies are like region specific. That's why some things show up here in America, they don't show up in Europe, or vice versa. This was worldwide. What's going on here, Nick?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. So there's a movement going on right now, right, and this movement involves people dressing up like what are these creatures called? um, what are the Avatar character? The
Minions? Oh no,
minions.
the Navi.
No. You made the story better. So there's a movement online, a hashtag movement, hashtag dry, have sex like an avatar. So people are clearly dressing up like avatar characters and going into the theaters, and you know their tails are they're wearing the suits backwards, so they have the head the backwards and stuff like that. So they're basically fucking each other with the tail. And that's why I got pulled off. Disney's like, we ain't having any of this. This is not a minion. We will not put up with this. And they're like, you know what, Way of Water, you bring that back, and we'll go for it. No, honestly, that was a long-winded.
I honestly didn't see your answer going there. But please
No,
continue.
There's one of two things that happen. There is a streaming rights issue that caused them to have to take it down because it happens with Harry Potter all the time. There's many, many millions and hundreds of millions of dollars being at play in this. That, or they took it down so they can make that people will pay to go see an IMAX, which, you know, why I don't understand why you would do if that is going that route. That would make no sense because you know some people can't go to the theater. Some people don't feel comfortable going to the theater, so why can't they watch on Disney Plus? They're paying you absorbent amounts of money for, and but overall, I think it's a streaming issue. I think it's maybe they're gonna bring it back and like 4K, and they're gonna have like James Cameron's new version. I guess I'm wrong. I'm just gonna go with the tail sex thing. We'll just go with that.
It's none of those, Nick. Do you want to know
What
why?
is it? Because
I
they're
know
blue
exactly
and
why.
we're racist.
I knew
don't
why
know.
as soon as I read this. Why? They took Avatar off of streaming. Because it's
Because
coming out
Last Fungali's
September
coming
23rd in theaters, and they want your ass to go see it there. Fucking money, bitches. That's why. That's
I
fucked
figured the
up.
people. I figured the people at Last Ferngully, Last Rainforest, Ferngully, The Last Rainforest were suing them, even though it's the same company.
Shut
Because
your
Fox
mouth.
and
I like Avatar. No, that's why. They're not going to come out and say that. It hasn't been put out there, and I am not one to take
why
hard
do it
stances.
so late? Like why do it so soon? Why don't they wait till like a week before and then pull it? I don't know.
Well, because I mean,
I
they've already
have the
because they've
I have the
officially
extended
announced.
edition.
I don't think anybody's surprised that it's coming back to theaters before the second movie, but they officially announced it that it's coming out, and then suddenly this disappeared. That it's fucking money. They're not going to come out and say that, of course not. But that is exactly what it is, because it wasn't just in America. Like if it only disappeared in America, or if it only disappeared in Europe, or something like that, yeah, you could say, oh, it's probably a rights thing, or I mean, they own the fucking rights to it. Disney does, but maybe there was another a previous deal signed with HBO Max, or Avatar was on Netflix at one point in time years ago. It could be something like that, but it's not. It's world fucking wide. It disappeared right after they announced, okay, it is officially coming on this date, and right before it well, not right before, but a bit before. Why? They don't want people to watch it there. They want to get the hype train going for Way of the Water, and then they want people to go back to the theater to get more money out of it. And that's fucked up. I feel like the people that would go see Avatar a second time, because pretty much everybody's seen fucking Avatar at this point. The people that would go see Avatar in theaters on the 23rd or however long it's out are going to go see it regardless if it's on Disney Plus or not. The people that aren't going to go see it aren't. The people that are going to see it have already seen it. They are going for the theater experience, to see that 3D, to see the movie on the big screen again. They're not going because, oh, I've never seen Avatar. Let me go. I mean, maybe there might be some people. The movie's, 12 years old now, I guess? 13 years old? There might be some
2009, yeah.
Yeah, there might be some younger viewers that haven't seen it. Maybe, but mostly everybody who's going to go see this movie has already seen it. They're going for that theater experience to get hyped for the next movie. But Disney just wants to make sure that, hey, if you were somewhat interested in seeing it, the only way you can is through this. Because, I mean, is it going to pop back up on Disney Plus like on September 24th? Well, no, whenever it leaves theater? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they'll just leave it off to get you hyped for the next one, or they'll release a physical copy and say, you got to buy it there. This, once again, this isn't much of a story. This is more of a just putting it out there to you. But really, what hurts my feelings about it is, first of all, I really, really liked Avatar. I love James Cameron. I love his movies. I did enjoy Avatar. I hate that Disney owns it now because I know what Disney does with shit. Hopefully James Cameron has enough play in with Avatar to be, because he won't put up with people's shit. I know that. So hopefully he can keep Avatar in line. But I hate that they are using all movies exploitation tactics are taken. I get that. But I hate that they're exploiting people this blatantly in their face. And just nobody calls them on it, because that's exactly what the fuck they're doing. They're just being exploitative, just trying to get your fucking money. If you're going to do it, I'd have more respect for them if they came out and said, we took it off because we're re-releasing it in theaters, and if you want to see it, that's the best way you need to see it. I mean, just be honest. Took it off because we want your fucking money. That's why. Okay, I can get down. I can understand that. You're a company. You want to make money. But don't fucking act like that's not what it is. This goes back to the story we were talking about a few minutes ago. It's all about fucking money. You want fucking money. You're a company. That's fine. But don't act like you're not. Don't act like, with like the grease thing. Don't act like there's not a monetary value here that you're trying to like capitalize on.
Maybe James Cameron's been doing a new edit of Avatar, and he's been using the volume, the thing that Mandalorian shot on, and they're just like constantly like reconfiguring it. Maybe it's a whole new movie. I don't know. You never know.
Now that is something I would wonder. I do wonder
Avatar
which version. This is a side thing, but which version are they putting in theaters? I hope it's the extended version, because there is a longer cut of Avatar. Yeah. That is actually a superior. It's a better version. I hope that's the one, because I'd like to see that in theaters. Either way, I'm going to go see the fucking movie. I mean, it is what it is. I love the movie. I'm looking forward to seeing that 3D again, but I just find this... I hate how they're like, everybody's like, why did they take it down? Fucking money, that's why. Who the hell's wondering that? Because it's coming out the 23rd, and they want to make more money. Jesus Christ, it's not rocket science. Everybody knows it. Why is everybody afraid to call it? It is what it is. All right, moving on to our next story. Or what do you think? Are you going to... fine people out there, are you going to go see Avatar? The first one in theaters on the 23rd or thereabouts? Or are you like, fuck this movie? Are you mad that they took it off of Disney Plus? I mean,
why they took it off Disney Plus, right?
Do what?
They took it off Disney Plus because they know you're going to go see it, and then it's going to break down again.
Oh shit, that's right. The past few times I've gone to theaters haven't been good, but I hope not. I hope it works. We'll see. But yeah, Avatar. It's coming back to theaters, but it's coming back to Disney Plus eventually too, I'm sure. But it ain't there now. So if you want to watch it, either bust out that Blu-ray. I don't think it's on 4K yet. No. But bust out that Blu-ray or go to Pirate Bay. I don't know. But you can go to theaters 23rd and see it in all its glory, 3D and all. Next, let's talk about National Treasure. I think
TV show, right?
We've discussed National Treasure before in the past, Nick. And I think... I want to say I remember you saying you enjoy the National Treasure movies. I could just be completely thinking it. Okay. Well, you will be happy to hear, my fine friend, that Jerry Bruckheimer, the producer behind National Treasure 1, 2, and now 3, said in an interview, we're working on the script right now for National Treasure 3. Hopefully, Nick Cage that is, likes it. But it's really good. So I think we'll get it to him very shortly. National Treasure Book of Secrets, the second one, came out in 2007. So it's been quite a while since we saw National Treasure. So, hey, National Treasure 3 is nearing production. If that's your thing, if that's your jam, it's finally coming. It's getting closer and closer once the script is down. Now, I will say, apparently, the movie is not officially greenlit.
No, they're writing the script. I mean, yeah, they're writing a script. They just got to... finalized details. If Cage is on board, they're gonna do it. It'll be greenlit. There's no.
They would have to take some ninjutsu movie I watched with the alien and Frank Grillo. So if I'm not a huge National Treasure fan, but if he said yes to that, he better say yes to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but me myself, I'm like I said, I thought National Treasure was. It feels like a movie that I should like. I was excited about it. I think because it was really hyped when I saw it, and then when I saw it, I was kind of like, It's alright. It's okay. I feel like it's a movie I want to go back and watch because, like, without the expectation, maybe it'll be better this time. I don't know. We'll see. I don't remember it being terrible. I just remember it being kind of, It's all right.
Yeah.
I do wonder if John Turteltaub, didn't he?
John Turteltaub. Yeah.
He directed it, both of them. I wonder if he'll be involved.
Yep.
But really short story there. I mean, I don't really. There was nothing else about this. It's just it's coming. This probably should have been a news bit instead of a full-on story. But National Treasure 3 is coming. Is this something? I mean, it's 2007 is when the last one came out. Is it too late? Are you looking forward to this? Do you think they even should come out with this? Or what are you looking forward to out of National Treasure 3? NT3.
Besides the fact that everyone's old as shit now, Top Gun Maverick came out, so that did well. I like the National Treasure movies. I think they're fun. I know they're not great, but they're movies that are escapism movies. They're movies with Nicolas Cage as the lead in an action adventure movie, and that's kind of all I want sometimes is Nicolas Cage in a either fighting, demonic what's that, Chuck E. Cheese characters and shit.
Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah.
I was going the route of Mandy, but yeah, you took it to Willy's Wonderland.
Oh, gotcha. Mandy too. And then him trying to look for his pet pig and stuff like that. Or even the hell was that?
The one he had
dog.
Oh, I don't think that was here. But the one the unbearable weight of massive talent or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like this movie can ride off of the coat because I feel like the second one probably rode off of the excitement from the first movie. It's 2007. I don't feel like National Treasure is a property. Nothing against it. I just don't feel like it's a property that people are like. I think a lot of people when they hear National Treasure, it won't be National Treasure 3. It'll be National Treasure something subtitle. I feel like most people are going to be like, what? But I don't feel like there's going to be a shit ton of people that are like, fuck yeah, I've been waiting on this for 15 years. Okay, I said most people. Either way, okay, well, short story there. They're working on the script. It's almost done. They're about to give it to the Cage. And hopefully it comes out and hopefully it's good. I'm sure it will come out. And it gets its green light. But if you're a National Treasure fan, if you're like Nick, then, well, you got a movie coming your way at some point in time in the future. This seems like a movie they'll probably fast track once it gets greenlit. Mm-hmm. So you'll probably be seeing it in the next few years, I'm sure. National Treasure, The Search for More Money, coming soon to a theater and or streaming. You know what, streaming? This seems like it would be a streaming movie. I could
No, there's a TV series coming to streaming, so fuck the streaming service. Bring it to theaters.
Is there really a TV series coming to streaming?
There is a TV series.
Oh, they're going all in on this National Treasure thing. Maybe it'll be a spin-off of the, like, in between seasons like the X-Files did. I don't know. But National Treasure, we're apparently getting a whole lot of National Treasure goodness that I wasn't aware of. Just knew about the movie, but coming soon, if that's your thing. Okie doke. All right. So here we are at the break of the show. We're a little behind, but it's all good. It's
still good. We're
going to talk about the main event of today's show. Now we're not going to go like beat for beat with it. We're going to talk about Orphan First Kill, the new Orphan movie, the prequel to Orphan from 2009, I believe it was. Nick saw this before I did. I had an opportunity to see it, but I was busy doing something else, so I saw it like a day or two after. It wasn't long after. And we are going to talk spoilers. Let me get that out of the way right now. We're going to talk spoilers, so if you're looking forward to seeing this movie and you don't want any spoilers, you might want to tune out for about the next 20 minutes.
I'm just going to say right now, if you don't want any spoilers, you should have watched the movie like 10 years or 15 years ago. So,
well, no,
not really a spoiler.
I mean spoilers for the new movie.
Yeah,
we will be spoiling the first movie as well if you haven't seen that. So
yeah.
Now, as those of you know, the first movie did have quite the big spoiler in it, and the movie kind of rode on that spoiler. Mm-hmm. The second one has a twist as well, and I honestly, when Nick told me I'm doing a spoiler review or whatever of Orphan First Kill, I was like, what is there to spoil? I mean, the big spoiler happened in the last movie. What the fuck else could there be? There is something to spoil, and we're going to talk about that. So, before I go any further, I just want everybody to know, we are talking spoilers here. We're going to spoil the shit out of this movie. If you care about spoilers or you haven't seen the movie yet, you might want to check out for about 20 minutes, come on back. If you don't care about this movie, if you don't plan on seeing it, or if you plan on seeing it and you just don't give a shit about spoilers, Or if you have no desire to see it, then hey, stay for the conversation. And maybe after the conversation, you either won't want to see it more or you might want to see it. We'll see. Okay, so Orphan. It's not The Orphan, it's just Orphan. Orphan, First Kill, the prequel to the first Orphan. Now, it's been a while since I saw the first Orphan, but the basic gist of it was that you got this little girl who's like Eastern European. She's, I think she's supposed to be 10, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, 10-year-old little girl, 8, 9, 10-year-old girl, whatever she was, and she is adopted by an American family, and I can't even remember who they were. One of the Skarsgårds. Oh,
it was yes, Peter Sarsgaard and Vera Farmiga.
Yeah. Okay. So they adopt this little girl named Esther. She's Eastern European, very proper, wears dresses, has like a little choker thing and these little ribbons on her arms and all that. An odd little kid, but they get her. Cute little kid. And weird shit starts to happen. Turns out this kid's a little psycho. Some deaths happen. And by the time we get to the end, the big spoiler is she's not an 8, 9, 10-year-old little girl. She's actually a 30-year-old woman or 33-year-old woman or something like that with dwarfism and some type of genetic disorder that makes her look young. She stopped aging at like 10 or something like that. And she's got like this, she wears this thing to hold her boobs back and all that, and she's just, she's acting like a little child. Now, this was very loosely based on a true story, I think.
I did not know that.
I know it happened. This did happen. I don't know if it happened before the movie or after. I think this is based on that. Either way, something similar to this happened in real life. Like, this really did happen. It could have been after. I'm not 100% sure, but there was a person with a similar condition. Now, if you look at the picture of this person in real life, you're kind of like, I mean, I guess if something's presented to you a certain way, you're kind of like, okay, that is what it is. But when I look at the picture, I was like, how did you not see that? But either way, something similar to this happened. It wasn't as grandiose, but a person did infiltrate adoption-wise into this people's family as a younger person, and they were actually like a 25, 30-year-old person. No murders, I don't think. I think it was just like stealing stuff and things like that. But in this, she murders some people. Now, in the end of the movie, Nick, refresh my memory. I swear, because in the end, I remember there's some fire and stuff, and she comes out, and I know she at least tried to sleep with the dad. I don't remember if she did, but
yeah,
doesn't she die?
She does die. She drowns.
Okay.
Well, suppose, I mean, until the sequel comes out, she drowns. You know.
Okay. Well, that's why I was asking.
Rescues her.
Is because, okay, so she dies in this movie, but she's alive in the beginning.
Yeah.
This movie that we're going to talk about today is a prequel, so we know that she is not going to die by the end of the movie. So you think already, well, that kind of takes some of the mystique away from it all. Oh, no. I did want to say, I had another story for this week, or just a little blurb, but I was going to just work it into this. Apparently, the writers and directors of this movie, Orphan First Kill, were asked about further sequels. And they said, yeah, as long as the young actress or the actress is interested in doing it, we're down. We will do it if she's willing to come back. I can't remember her actual name in real life, but
is she Jesus? What is going on here?
Well, and that's why I was like, they didn't say sequels or further prequels because they said, there's a whole 30 years there, but that we didn't explore. Yada, yada, yada. So, depending on the success of this movie, we may get more Orphan movies. And by the time, we'll ask that question whether we should or not, in our opinion, after we do this review here. Now, I specifically told Nick I don't want to talk about this to each other. I don't want to know what his thoughts are, and I didn't want him to know mine. I want to talk about it. I have an idea of where he's at, and I just want to see if our thoughts line up. So this is going to be very therapeutic here. Okay, so this movie basically takes place a couple of years before the first one.
Yeah.
And we start, quick rundown. We start with a psychiatrist or a doctor going to this insane asylum in somewhere in Eastern Europe.
Estonia,
okay. Yeah. And that's where Esther is. Her name is not Esther at this point. Her name is something else. I don't know. But she's there. Still looks like a little kid. However, she does look a bit older now because she is older in real life. She's 25 years old in real life, and in the first movie, I think she was 13 when she did that part. She does. Yeah. I don't know if she has a genetic condition like in this movie, or she just looks really young.
They use like the foot, a thing where you can make people look taller. So she's the same. She's actually a pretty normal size. I mean, normal for a woman. Like
oh, okay.
5-something.
So she doesn't have this in real life. I remember when the first movie came out, people were talking about, oh, she really does have that in real life. No, she was like 13 in the first movie or something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's there. She does look older, but you know what? You got to disbelief, especially with what else happens in this movie. She escapes the insane asylum. She kills the doctor. She goes to the doctor's house, to the new psychiatrist, looks through her files and finds some missing children's things, or looks through the internet or something. She finds one that looks close enough to her, a young girl who's like 10 years old that looks like what she may have looked like a few years back. This girl's been missing for like 3 years, I believe it was, of an American family. So then she goes, and we don't see how, but she turns herself in, and the family, Julia Stiles, I'm not sure what the guy's name is, and their son, Gunter. This very wealthy family in America. So the police come up and say, hey, your daughter, we found her. They were kind of accepted that she probably was dead and wasn't coming home. It apparently has affected the family, which it would. I understand that. Something like that would. The dad's been all kind of fucked up about it. But, hey, we found her. So they bring her back, and she apparently fools them. And they're like, oh, her name is Esther. That's where she gets the name Esther. Esther's back. Yay, we found her. She looks different. She has an accent now. And they're like, why does she have an accent? They were like, well, she was been living with this person. This person was like presenting her as her daughter in Eastern Europe somewhere, Estonia. And that's normal during formative years, that if a child goes over to a place like that and that's what they hear, they could take on that accent. So that's why there's also, they say, she's been in this really weird situation, so things could be different about her. Things are going to be odd. That's how they play off the whole, why is she thinking some things and all this and that. So then we go along with the movie, and we have Esther living in this house, and she's deciding what she's going to do. She plans on just leaving. She's not going to kill them, but she plans on just leaving. And you have another psychiatrist who is like, something's up here. Starts picking on little things that she says or does. And she doesn't necessarily think that that's not your daughter, but something's going on. Then you have a detective who is kind of suspect of some stuff too. He's the detective that, I don't know if he found her, but he is the detective that was working with the family. The movie goes on. Gunter he's like a 16, 17-year-old, her older brother. And the father's a painter. He picks painting back up, and he's reinvigorated with life. Him and Julia Stiles, the mom, trying to fuck and have sexy time, and Esther sees him and makes some noise and keeps him from it because she's kind of digging the dad, because the dad's been giving her, and I don't even get it in a sexual way at first. It seems like she's just happy to have someone who's being nice to her, because they were being kind of shitty to her in this insane asylum, but she is psycho. And he's down there painting with her, and she shows that she can paint and all this and that and blah, blah. They have a connection. So she doesn't like when she walks in and sees that the mom and the dad are trying to get sexy. Anyway, that's about to the halfway point of the movie. And up to this point, in my opinion, the movie was fine. It was stuff. It wasn't blowing me away. I was actually watching it while I was editing a video, and I was just kind of yeah, it's not bad. It's not good. It's just kind of there. It's nothing special. It was fine. I'm going to let, and don't ruin the twist. We're getting to the twist next.
Yeah, oh yeah. No.
But what did you think up to this point, Nick? What were your thoughts up to this point of the movie?
Okay, so up to this point in the movie, I was going, there's a movie called Orphan that came out in 2000, whatever. And it has this great twist.
I think. I could be wrong.
2009, so same year as Avatar. So
that's why it wasn't a bigger hit.
Yeah, there's an Orphan movie and an Avatar movie coming out this year as well. There you go.
Holy shit, you're right.
No, but in that ending, that twist ending was actually, I thought, was one of the most clever horror endings in quite a while. I really liked it. So I'm already going into this movie a little down on it, because I'm I don't need to see this movie, because if you watch this movie, have never seen the original movie, you kind of ruin the whole purpose and kind of the mystique of that. And I said that in my review. And then, so you know what? I said, fuck it, I'll watch this movie because I want to review it and do a spoiler review. And up to the halfway point, up to the point before the twist, I'm like, it's all right. It's a very standard plot. You're waiting for Esther to do something crazy. You know, she has a rat friend and stuff like that. You're waiting for something to happen, and nothing really happens. And you're waiting for some kind of rug to be pulled under or something like that, and just nothing like that happens. It's
Oh,
like,
it's going to.
well, yeah, it's going to, but
But yeah, I'm with you.
know
Not
what?
a lot was happening. It was all set up.
And the right, and the director is known for doing stuff like The Boy and Brahms the Boy too. So I was starting to get some Brahms the Boy 2 problems with this, where The Boy is actually pretty interesting, like with this twist and stuff like that. But I'm like here, I'm like, this is having the same problems where I don't feel like this is a movie that was needed, and I felt like that through the whole movie. But I'm like, for the most part, I'm like, it's a very substandard horror story. It's not great. It's just it's there. I think some of the kills in the early portion of the movie are cool. You think the doctor, the psychiatrist, or the psychologist, whatever, is going to survive, and she ends up getting killed, and it's kind of a left turn.
Yeah,
And I
she
was
beats the fuck out of her with a tire iron.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Like-
I mean, like there's a whole point where like the crazy woman with the candy, and she just like beats the hell out of the
Yeah, where'd that
the-
chick come from? When she's escaping,
just-
I glazed over that. When she's escaping, there's this other crazy lady in there who goes fucking nuts, and to calm her down, you just like throw her a piece of candy, and apparently
Yeah,
Esther
yeah.
knows this. And when she's leaving, like there's a security guard like, "Hey, stop!" Like in the main lobby where you think nobody would be. It's the middle of the night, and then all of a sudden, she says her name like Nikki, and this chick turns around like she's a goddamn zombie, and goes "Rah!" and like attacks the guy, and then she's like candy and throws it. And I'm like, okay, that they did that earlier, they set that up, but why was this chick out there just sitting in the fucking corner of this waiting room?
I think because Esther opens up all the doors and she just wanders out.
Did
yeah,
she?
when she
I
when
didn't
she's
see
in the
that.
security room, she just opens up all the doors.
Oh,
escape.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I get for editing a video while I was watching this. I didn't see, I didn't see that part. Okay, well that makes a little bit more sense, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But all right, sorry.
But it was
Continue.
good. No. I mean, but for the most part, like Julia Stiles was fine. The brother is one. Like I said, he was fine, but he is really annoying in this movie. He's like that upper asshole douchebag character that I really can't stand in horror films or teen comedies or whatever. And the father, I actually kind of felt for because it felt like he was like having the most trauma out of everyone because I think he felt maybe he was like the closest connected to Esther's character. But it was cool, like
Oh yeah.
Esther. We find out where she gets the name at and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it was fine.
As well, to piggyback on that, as we learned, the father is probably the best person and the most
Yeah,
likable person in this movie.
yeah,
But okay, so we're at the halfway point of the movie. This is when things flip, when they change.
yeah.
The last movie waited until pretty much the very end to give you that big reveal that, oh my God, she's actually a 33-year-old woman. You know it from the get-go here. So I'm not really expecting there to be anything. Like I said, I'm doing something else. I'm sitting here watching this movie, just kind of like looking over. I even missed the thing where she let the people out, right? I'm watching this movie, more listening to it and kind of looking over the screen like this while I'm editing a video. And then something happens. So that detective that I told you about a minute ago, ladies and gentlemen, he goes into the house, and there are little weird things that happen throughout the movie. Like there's some murder in the beginning, and then after that, it's just her living amongst these people, trying to figure out when she's going to escape. And at one point, she does actually leave, but she sees the father painting, and she sees him, and you get this feeling that she doesn't want to leave him. And like I said, at first, it's not like a romantic thing. You just get the feeling that it's like, oh, there's this person who's being nice to me, who's treating me like a real person, and I don't want to leave him. He's been really nice to me, and we've got a connection. So she decides not to leave, and she even she's got like a little rat that shows up in the vent, and she talks to it like it's her friend, and she's like, oh yeah, we'll stay here for a little while. So anyway, this detective goes to the house and lifts one of her fingerprints off of her record. He goes home, and he uses that movie technology that they have on their computers in the movie, and he matches the fingerprints, and apparently it says there's no match. There's no way that this fingerprint from this little girl could be the actual Esther. And he's like, oh shit. And she realized that he had been there and that he had gotten something, so she sneaks out, and that's all we see of her. She turns the shower on like she's in there, and she sneaks out. So right when he realizes that, she shows up behind him. Oh, and also the mother comes home and is looking for her, Julia Stiles, before this part I'm about to talk about. And she's looking for her. She goes and sees that she's not in the shower. And she walks off screen as well. So anyway, Esther's sitting there, or the police officer is sitting there at his house, and he's like, "It's not her. Oh no, da 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 da." And then all of a sudden, he gets stabbed, and it's Esther behind him, and I think she stabbed him. She stabbed the shit out of him with something. I don't know. And just fucks him up. He's just about dead. He falls on the floor, and she gets up and says something quippy. I don't know. Once again, I was kind of looking at it like, okay, here's a kill. Violence, 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 whatever, whatever. And then all of a sudden, pow, pow, he gets shot. Like gunshots ring off. And even Esther's like, what the fuck? Who just shot a gun? Why they shooting up in here? And like, everybody's kind of confused. This cop's dead. Esther's like, what the fuck? I was killing him. Who? You stole my kill. You know, and she looks over, and it's the mom. Julia Stiles sitting there with a gun, shoots the shit out of him. And then she says, all right, we got to talk about this. And you're like, I mean, I know I literally did a double take. I was like, what in the fuck is going on here? What is happening in this movie? And all of a sudden the movie had my attention, and I was like, what's going on? So it turned the basic gist, what's going on, Julia Stiles explains to her that, look, I've known all along you weren't Esther, because Esther's dead. Because Gunter, the older son, killed her, supposedly accidentally. She says that they were playing. He always was a little bit rougher with his little sister than he should have been. And they don't say exactly what happened. They just said she was dead. He killed her accidentally. She freaked out, and she said, I did what any mother would do, is I protected my family. So they apparently took Esther's body, disposed of it, the real Esther. And the son knows, obviously he did it. The mother knows, but the father doesn't. The father just knows just thinks that she was kidnapped or just disappeared. And she's like, so when you showed up, I was like, what? Who the fuck is this? Who the fuck this bitch in my house? And she said, but you being back in our lives has reinvigorated my husband, and he is back to being the man he used to be. And that's what I want. My family is back to how they used to be, and I'm going to protect my family because I'm the mother, and that's how I want him. That means you're Esther. You got your ass in. You got into
the hell out of you.
Yeah, she's like, you got into this. You picked this, so now you're going to follow through with it. You're going to do it. You are now my daughter. And it comes out, she's like, well, she even apparently off screen explains to her that she's like, you're a 33-year-old woman, or a 30-year-old woman? Really? What the fuck? That's fucking twisted. But she tells her, she's like, now we have to work together now. You are going to be in this family. And from then on, it becomes this like tense cat and mouse-ish thing of everybody in this house knows except for the dad. So it's like the son knows, and he's been kind of you get that there's something going on throughout the movie. He's been kind of, not a prick, but just kind of like, to this kid. Now he's just a straight up prick to her. The mom's a bitch to her. And yeah, that's the twist, that the mom knew all along because she actually killed him. And they go and dispose of this cop's body and clean all that up. And even the place they dispose of him at, she's like, Esther's down. It's like a well. She's like, Esther's down there, isn't she? And she's like, don't you fucking say her name. But that's the twist. And from there, we'll get there in a minute. Nick, okay, so you were feeling kind of, this movie's kind of like I was. Just like it is what it is. It's not doing anything special. It's just doing. It's going through the motions. And then this happened. I know how I felt, which I'll describe that. But how did this change your perspective on this movie once this big twist happened? And did you see it coming at all?
No, I didn't see it coming. I wasn't like you. I wasn't super shocked. I knew they were gonna have to do something. They weren't just gonna make this movie just a straight up just like boring ass. I mean, they could have made it boring ass.
That's what I thought they were doing.
Well, yeah,
it was just gonna be,
I mean,
more shit. That's why I didn't think it was gonna work. I thought it was gonna be everybody in the movie doesn't know, but we the viewer know, and I was like, that just doesn't work. But
yeah, you know how these prequel sequels turn out. I mean, they usually much of the shit, but it started to turn into a really campy horror film. To be fairly, it can't be suspense because there's a point
Yeah.
where Esther finds her rat or mouse dead, and she makes a drink for what's her face, Julia Stiles' character, and find out
The
the rat's inside.
fucking rat in it.
Yeah, yeah. So it becomes like you can see Esther is trying to get away. She actually tries to push Julia Stiles and Gunther off the train tracks at some point, and they get the upper hand. And we'll talk about like the end of the movie, which I thought was actually pretty good. But it turned the movie from being just a rote kind of substandard whatever to being like, okay, cool, like they're actually doing something interesting. And it still doesn't take away from my fact of like this movie didn't even need to exist because you ruined that whole mystique of the original. But if you're going to go that route, at least do something interesting. And you know what, the fact that like the mom and the brother know that they actually know what's going on, and they actually, the young girl was killed and stuff like that, it makes it for still not a great film, but a entertaining film, I guess you could say. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think we're near the same place. And
Yeah,
I
it's not
figured,
a great film. It's like a 7 out of 10 type of film.
yeah, I could get down with that. I will say
A rental.
up to the first half. The first half of this movie, I was just like I said, just whatever. This is just stuff happening. Nothing special. We already know the big twist that she's actually a 33-year-old woman or 30-year-old woman at this point. But once that twist happens, there's a tonal change with this movie, like totally from there on out.
Yeah.
This movie was fun as hell after that twist. I really liked this fucking movie after the twist. Everything leading up to the twist, it's the halfway, maybe just a teensy bit over the halfway mark. It totally changes, and it becomes just them fucking with each other. The boy fucking with her fucking with the boy, and the mom telling her, bitch, don't fuck with me because I'll fuck you up. Julia Stiles goes from being this very like stand-up, like posh woman to fucking psycho, and I loved it. And
I love there's a point where Esther like steals the car, and she's just putting on makeup, and she's listening to, I can't remember what song it is, but she's listening to like
Maniac
this great song, and Maniac. Yeah, it's like, I'm like, you've entered the camp zone when you're playing Maniac and you have Esther driving a car. Which how she learned how to drive a car, I'll never know. Which is kind of the plot hole of the movie, outside of a few other things. But I think at that point I was just like, you know what, Hank, you're doing something at least fun at this point.
Yeah, man.
It's not realistic, but you're doing fun.
She's riding down the road. She steals their fucking car, and she's riding down the road. She puts her glasses on, and she's like putting lipstick and shit on, and it's like maniac, maniac, and I was just like, that is fucking perfect. And it's like she even knows the ironicness of it all. She's just like,
yeah,
I am, baby. This is my motherfucking theme song, bitches. That was fucking great. And like the whole movie is just her trying to either get away or kill their asses. And I will say at first, she's just like, I just don't want to do this. I don't want to fucking be
like,
here.
I just want to leave.
I
want to go.
Get the fuck out. I will kill your ass. I'll kill a motherfucker. I'm still crazy. But I ain't even trying to kill you. I just want to fucking go. And something the movie did that did surprise me. I actually, towards the end or the final third of the film, with their back and forth, started to feel bad for Esther a little bit. I started to she became the anti-hero of the movie. Like, she's going to survive.
People were not happy about that.
Huh?
Yeah, people were really not people were not happy about that.
Really?
A couple people in my comments, they were like, you ruined the movie by making her anti-hero. I'm like, sometimes it's fun to be the anti-hero. It doesn't mean she's a good person. Yeah.
Look at Hannibal Lecter. He's the fucking villain, and he became the anti-hero. Sometimes a villain, if you will, can be so villainous that they become likable. Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
I mean, he never became the hero. Or he kind of did. And, he was still kind of the villain in Jason versus Freddy. But either way, you know what I mean? You can make what else do you do? What else do you do with this fucking movie? The big thing is out there. You're going to have this prequel. You know she survives. You know that she is not going to die. You got to do something.
Yeah, she can't die.
And you're following this character. In the other movie, you didn't know who was going to live or die in the end. You can't follow the family in this movie because you know they're going to, most likely they're going to die. You feel fairly, because if they don't die, they'll know the whole thing, because that's going to come out, of course. So, of course, you have to follow her, and your character that you're following has to be somewhat likable, and they did do that. Like, but because it just went into camp. Leading up to that, up to the second half of the movie, you neither hate nor love this character. You're just like, yeah, she's just psycho doing psycho. But then after that part where they're being real shitty to her, and granted, she's coming back at him, but you feel like they're malicious. You feel like she's just like, look, leave me alone. Back the fuck up or I'm finna ask her that ass. And like, you're like, okay, she's a likable, she's still a fucking psycho and she's crazy. But given she's in this, surrounded by these other fucking psychos, which they go way off the reservation crazy. Like they hold it together for the first half, and then once it's all out there, they're like, fuck it, I'm fucking crazy. And like, the son, everybody, they start talking all kinds of fucking crazy shit. The son even at one point is like, "I'll fucking kill you, you little bitch." Like, it goes into camp land, and I loved it. The only regret I had, because the second half of this movie I had a great time with. Only regret, or not regret, the only thing I wish they had done is I wish that they had that twist of the whole mother-son murdering or killing the original one. I wish it had been put out there earlier. I wish more of the movie was like this. Their back and forth of her trying to like push him off the train, taking off in the car, and like fighting around the house and all that, and the rat, and just fucking with each other left and right, was the best part of the movie. That shit was great. Yeah. When the mom drinks and looks in there and there's a fucking dead rat in there, and she's like, "Bleh," and the dad's like, "What's wrong, honey?" "Nothing. I'm fine." That shit was great. It was not good. Like good and like a good, it's a well-made movie, but I mean like in like good movie, if you will, or film, like we talked about before. But it is a fun movie. It was really fun after the second part. And I just was very surprised at how much goddamn fun this movie was after that second part. Kind of like we were talking about the games a while ago. You got to get past that first 40 hours and it's great. Well, you got to get past about the first 45 minutes. This movie's great.
Yeah.
I will say that leading up to that, it's not awful. It's just kind of there. It's just stuff happening, nothing great. But then that twist happens and I was like, oh, fuck. And that was a really good time. And once it stopped taking itself so seriously, it was a blast. And I know you said you didn't see that twist coming, but you knew something was going to come. I didn't. I was honestly by that point, and that's the one benefit to them going so long without the twist, is that maybe in the beginning I was kind of like, all right, what are they going to do to kind of shake this up? By the time I got to the middle part of the film, I was like, okay, it's just going to be a straight up her, and she's going to kill him. I mean, I thought, okay, they're not going to have any type of, oh shit, they did. Oh fuck, what the hell's going on here? That's the one benefit to it taking so long to get to that twist. But end of the movies, I mean, she kills the son. She shoots. Man,
there's some gnarly kills in the end. Like the fucking bowcaster that she shoots him with, and then when you see Julia Stiles fall, you actually see her fucking brain go.
Like shoots out the back of her head. That was nasty. Pretty cool. There are some good kills. They are mostly, it's in the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie is where the kills are, and there's one in the middle. But they have a little thing. She finally decides, fuck this shit. The mom tells the son, she's like, fuck this shit. We're doing this tonight. Because the husband's at a art show or something like that. She's like, we're taking this little bitch out. I'm sick of this shit. And they start having Home Alone running around the house trying to kill her, and she shows up with a fucking crossball. Yeah, she shows up and shoots the son with a crossbow, and it's even done.
I like his reaction. He's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's even done in like a cheeky way. She's like saying something. He turns around and she says something to him. I can't remember, and he's like, "What? No?" And she's like, and like pulls it out, and he goes, "Oh." Damn, it's almost like the it needed to like zoom in on his face and he'd be like,
yeah.
And like she shoots him, but that ain't enough. That's not enough for Orphan. She runs up, she shoots him, and I think she grabs one of his sword, because he's a fencing champion, one of his swords, and I think it breaks, and she just goes and starts stabbing the ever living fuck out of him, and like blood going everywhere. So not bad enough she shot him in the heart. Now she got stabbed to shit. She does that. Then her and the mom get into it. They start crawling on top. The house catches on fire. They start crawling on the fucking roof. And like they're hanging off, and the dad comes up there to get it. It's like over the top. The dad's on the roof now, and they're in a mansion. It's like a 4-story house, and he's
Fire everywhere.
they get up there, and she's like, she's a 30-year-old woman. It's not Esther. And she's like, no, she's fucking crazy. She's touching me and trying to kill me. And he's like, what the fuck? So he grabs, I think the mom, he goes to grab the mom, but she falls, Julia Stiles, and she hits the concrete, and her fucking brains shoot out the top of her goddamn head, which is pretty epic. And he picks up Esther, and when he does, like, her fake teeth she wears, because he, like, grabs her like that, they, like, pop out. And he's like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
And she says, no, Daddy, I love you, or what? She's all like, no, I do, I love you. We can make a life together. I love you, love you. And he's like, get the fuck away from me, you freak. She's like, what the fuck? Like, pushes him off. I was like, damn.
He does like a 300 fall. He's like,
yeah, she went from I love you to fuck you, die real quick. Like, Esther is very just flippant in that way. But he hits the ground next to his wife. His brains shoot out of his head, too. And Esther's alive. And they don't really give a reason as to why people are like, okay, even if the house burnt down, this kid has a crossbow bolt sticking out of him, and even after being burned, they can tell that he was stabbed 52 times. You're covered in blood that's not yours. The mom and dad are out here on the pavement with their brains everywhere off the top of this house. What the fuck happened here? They don't really get into that. It doesn't matter. But she's just sitting there. She's at the orphanage, and they're like, okay, well, we'll find a family, a good home for this poor girl who's been through so much. And then it ends with her kind of like Norman Bates staring at the camera, smiling, and we go into the original Orphan. But that's the movie. That's our spoiler. I loved where this movie went. I'll say that. It for me was on my rating scale. It's worth a rent, man. I was kind of leaning towards worth streaming, but no,
it
which
is
it
on
is
streaming. It's on Paramount Plus. So.
Yeah, it's streaming on I thought it was is it Amazon? Where did I watch this?
No, Paramount.
Paramount. Yeah. I'm sorry. But it actually after and up to that second half, I would have said it's worth streaming, maybe lower. It's a well-made movie. I mean, it's not like cheap looking or anything. The performances are fine, but man, everything goes to Kookyville, and they just go fucking batshit crazy after that twist. And I loved it from that point. From that point on, I want to rewatch this movie with some people that haven't seen it, just so I can see their reactions and I can experience that second half. I wouldn't mind fast forwarding through the first half, but it was fine, like I said, but nothing is whatever. But that second half, after that cop gets shot, shit just goes crazy, and I loved it. I had such a great time with it. It sounds like you're close. You're in that same neighborhood, but maybe not quite as high on it as I am. But I figured you hated it.
No. That's I put it this way. I'm not a fan of the fact that it kind of ruins the mystique of the original. But I said there's enough there that if you're an Orphan fan or you've seen Orphan, I think you'll enjoy the movie. That's kind of where I left it at. But
well,
the
original
I didn't
thing.
go into.
Is anybody going into this movie without having seen the original?
You'd be surprised.
I mean, maybe, I guess. But, I mean, who's going into a sequel? I mean, I guess people do it. But I just figured anybody who would go into the Orphan sequel and or prequel would have already seen the original movie. I could be wrong. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. No, but I put it this way. I say this is a movie that didn't need to happen, but it was fine for what it was worth. Like I said, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 or some shit.
I might, 7. I was gonna say maybe an 8, but no. If they had done that twist earlier, like in the first third of the movie, and the rest of the movie was just them back and forth, I probably would give this an 8, maybe more, because it was hella fun. This is so much fun after that twist. But, that's where we stand on it, ladies and gentlemen. It's in my opinion, definitely worth checking out. And I would suggest seeing the first Orphan first, because if not, it's going to ruin what mystique that movie had. Yeah, but watch that movie and then watch this one, and I think you can have a really good time. Just make it through that first half. And the first half isn't terrible. It's just there. It's just kind of. It just kind of happens. But right around the time, I'll say this, like be like cleaning up the living room or doing some dishes or something, and have it on in the background, just kind of like looking over it like I was for a while. You'll catch enough. The first few minutes is cool when she's in the insane asylum, but from the point she gets out of the insane asylum to around the time when she turns the shower on, anger turns on the shower. She's pissed that somebody's been in her room, and she turns on the fucking shower. At that point, go sit down on the couch and watch the rest of the movie, and you're gonna have a fucking great time. This movie was so ridiculously fun. Like, I didn't say it was good. It's ridiculous. It's over the top, but that's what they needed to do. What else could you do? If you're gonna make the fucking movie, at least make it like that. And if they've talked about they're open to sequels if this one does well. I mean, if they go down the route like this, I'm cool with it. I don't know what else they could do with a sequel, but honestly, I didn't know what else they could do with this. So, who knows? But that's Orphan First Kill, people. Check it out. I think it's definitely worth it, and Nick approves as well. So check it out. All right. So I had a couple of more stories, and we're going to go through some of them, but I'm probably going to have to skip one because we were running a little short on time. But we will go ahead, excuse me, and jump on in to our next one. This is one that I know Nick had actually sent me, and I'd already heard about it, but I know this is one that you probably got a little bit of input on as well.
Yeah.
And that would be Regal Cinemas, more specifically Cineworld, who owns Regal Cinemas. They might be going away, which I don't know if Regal... I think they're everywhere in the country, but they are more predominant here in the South, the southern region of America, and in the West, which we both live in the southern region. So they're really big around here. It's really just Regal and AMC. That's all you got. You got some mom and pops, but it's mostly those two. And AMC's everywhere. But Regal apparently is filing not Regal, Cineworld is filing bankruptcy. Cineworld, the London-based exhibitor that's the second largest in the world, next to AMC, is expected to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the United States and declare insolvency in the UK, a legal action similar to Chapter 11 over there. So their version of filing Chapter 11. This is the more traditional form of reorganization in which the operators hope to readjust their financial obligations, debt, including film rentals, leases, contracts, and other, with the goal of staying in business. So pretty much it's not Chapter 9 or 10 where you're pretty much saying everything goes. When companies do that one, or maybe it's Chapter 7? Is it Chapter 7, I think, where you file and your company's done. It's gone. It's like everything is liquidated and you're just trying to get out of the business and limit your debt as much as possible by liquidating everything. So they're trying to actually do Chapter 11, which is where you do that to a degree, but you still try and stay in business and reorganize so your business can flourish. Other businesses have done this in the past. AMC was going to do it until that whole crazy thing. They had the thing where people started the memes and all that, and started like buying stock, and when all that whole stock thing with like GameSpot and all that, or GameStop and all that was going on. Mm-hmm. But and they inched away from. They didn't have to do it, but other companies. I think AMC actually did file Chapter 11 back in the early 2000s, and they came back from it. Different time though. Also, Regal is considered the most financially vulnerable exhibitor out of all of them, so that's not a good sign. And Chapter 11 usually leads to cost-cutting and limited maintenance. That could mean reduction of hours at some locations or closing on certain weekdays. So yeah, it's not looking good for Regal Cinema or Cineworld in general, but Regal in particular, which is they're a big player here in the States. They could be going away, which I know around where I live, nothing's around where I live, but in the area that I go to watch movies, there's a lot of Regal Cinemas. Like I said, it's just pretty much Regal Cinemas and AMC. Yeah. And that's big. Regal's been around as long as I've been going to see movies, from what I remember. They've been a mainstay. So what's your take on this? Do you think that we're going to have Regal Cinemas in 5 years? Do you think they're going to be gone, or do you think that they're going to be able to pull through this thing?
I think that if that were to happen, it'd be a problem. They're going to find a way to get through. I mean, we're at a junction right now where AMC can say whatever the fuck they want, but the reason they, as we talked about, or you talked about just a second ago, is because of the meme stock, all that stuff. Regal is the second largest theater chain in the world. I think it is the Cineworld, and I don't think they're gonna go away. They may close like theaters and stuff like that, like kind of cut how many theaters they have, that type of thing. But I don't think that's it'd be really weird. It'd be like a really big prominent I don't know what you call it. It would be really, really kind of a downturn for the theater industry, but
Well,
I can't.
There'd be no competition. I mean,
Well,
for
you have
AMC.
Cinemark. Yeah,
Huh?
you have Cinemark, but you have Cinemark.
Yeah, but I mean, like major Regal, well, Cineworld, Regal here in the States was AMC's major competition. Pretty much like when I go to the movies, if the AMC theater doesn't have it, the Regal down the street does. You know, they have Cinemark. You got Cinemark. You got you got some smaller chains, which I mean, I guess there'll be competition, but it won't be like major competition. AMC will all of a sudden become like the biggest big dog. They are the big dog right now, if you will, but they would be all there was. Not all there was, but you know what I mean. They would have a controlling, like vastly more control over that industry, the theater industry, than anybody else. And what happens when you do that is, if there's no competition in any business, what's the point in doing anything better at that point? Who are you competing with?
I mean,
I don't need to make my theaters better, because where the hell else are you going to go?
well, you look at like internet companies. I mean, I don't know who you have I mean, you have Starlink, I think you said, but internet companies are the same thing. There's like one internet company down here that controls everything, and you start having a monopoly on one particular thing. And yeah, I mean, that's why having multiple things of the same thing are good, because it helps, generate, interest, and it helps actually keep things in check. So if it's just AMC,
It's the same thing with like video games, like with
Yeah.
Sony and Microsoft. You need both of them. I know a lot of Sony guys are like, Microsoft needs to go out of business or stop making Xbox, and some zillion Xbox fans are like, oh, PlayStation needs to go away. You don't want that. You want there to be
Yeah.
another major player in the game. Yeah, I know there's Nintendo, but it's almost like Nintendo does their own thing. But you need another major player in whatever game you're playing, because if you don't have that, there's nothing pushing you to be better. Because what pushes people to
Yeah.
be better is competition. Because if there's no competition, why am I going to do better? Why? You have no choice. You're going to buy my shit or you're going to use my product because you either are, or you're just not going to do it. So, and people are going to go see movies.
And Regal, like there's like several Regals around me, and Cinemarks and AMC, and I feel Regal has always been kind of the outlier, just on the simple fact that like I think they're a little lesser product than AMC, but I don't want them to go away, because
Well, yeah,
it
they've been
leaves
going
less
through financial
options.
troubles for a while now.
Yeah. I don't think. I think they'll figure out a way to get through this. And I honestly, to me personally, I think the whole theater industry is kind of going by the wayside, anyways. Because if you see how much it costs to go to the theater, and you see people in the streaming services, it's like, Jurassic World Dominion. As shitty as that movie is, it's gonna be on Peacock in September 2nd. And it's just like, why should I go to the theater to see a movie when I can just wait a few months? Outside of like Top Gun Maverick,
Yeah.
it's just the way it is.
This summer has, because if you had asked me this time last year, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know if theaters are going to be around in 5 years. Not in the way they are now. But then this summer comes along, and we actually had a decent theater summer. And, maybe Avatar, if Avatar does well, and, some Marvel movies and stuff like that. I think that the theater going experience, not the experience so much, but the way that theaters have been kind of held a stranglehold on movies, new movies in general, has changed and is going to change more. But I don't necessarily think that theaters are going. I think theaters are too deeply ingrained in that industry right now to totally go away. Everybody, movie companies want theaters to be a thing. They want you to go spend lots of money at theaters so they get that money. And you can see that when movies go straight to streaming, they don't know what the fuck to do. They don't know what to do with that. They're like, well, how do I quantify that this was a success or not? Because it went to streaming, and I don't think that the industry is there to where theaters need to go away, or that they're going to go away anytime soon. I do think that is will and is adjusting, and it's not going to be the same as it was before the COVID pandemic, because that really things were already changing a little bit before that, but that was kind of like a fast forward for all of it to a degree. So I think that pushed things along quite a bit. Do I think that Regal will pull through this? I don't know. I'd like them to, because competition is always good, but seeing as how they have had financial troubles for quite a while. And you're right. You go to a Regal theater, there's outliers that are like really nice, but not that they're shitholes, but compared to an AMC theater.
Every theater has a shithole in some form or fashion.
Sure.
So like, I honestly don't see. I see the whole entire industry going downturn before I see Regal going out of business. But hey, maybe next week we'll learn that Regal's officially going out of business. So you never know.
Well, I don't know if it'll be next week, but yeah, I think they've been experiencing financial troubles for a while. That's why their theaters usually aren't quite as nice. Yeah. And they may pull through this. I think that they want to. Obviously, I'm wondering what it's going to do to their brand, because, like they said, they cut back on things when this happens, and the first place you cut back is on labor. That's especially the service industry. I was in the service industry for years. The first controllable that they will cut back on every time in any service industry position is labor, and labor is going to, like this article said, it affects your, hours of operation, and that all goes down to the amount of people you have. So you're going to see. You already don't see a ton of people at these theaters that are working there, so you're going to have less people working there. Less people working there means less people to help and do things when there's an issue. Like the issues I had, I know we were joking about it, but when I went and had these issues 2 times in a row of these movies breaking, and like 3 whole theaters worth of people coming out to the lobby, like raising hell, they couldn't handle. This was an AMC, but they couldn't handle it with the amount of people they had there. Imagine if there's like 2 people working, because that's what these companies will do. They'll cut it back to bare minimum, and then they'll say, how much more can we cut it? And then they're also going to be like, well, we need to cut out later showings. We need to cut out earlier showings. We need to cut out. They're going to start cutting. Yeah, and hey, Tuesdays aren't a big day for us.
Already.
Let's just be closed on Tuesdays or something like that. They're going to start. It might come up to where Regal's only open on Wednesdays and Friday, Saturday, Sunday or something. That might be extreme, but if that happens, everybody's going to start going to AMC's, and even more so than they are already. Regal may stay afloat, but are they going to be number 2 forever? I don't know. They're going to lose a lot of ground, that's for sure. So either way, Regal Cinemas here in the States is not going to be what it has been in the past, and it's been kind of clinging on to that for a while, and it's kind of sad. I hate to see the competition go.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, I guess. We'll find out over the coming months/years whether Regal's still going to be with us, or if somebody else is going to step in to come up and be a major player, or if it's just going to be AMC all the time. I don't know. But that's if you're a Regal Cinemas fan, if you got one near you that you just love going to, I mean, it ain't going anywhere anytime like real soon, but you might want to keep an eye on how the place is run. They might not be as dominant as, or they might not be around for, in the grand scheme of things, too much longer. That sucks. But okay, we're gonna do one more story, and then our last story, I think we're just gonna kind of not do today. We're gonna pass on. Just watch it, like Isaac Hayes said, walk on by. That made me seem real old. But this is a short and quick story, and it is when your kid's not believable enough to be your kid. Beast, the new Idris Elba film, in theaters only, I believe. You've seen this movie, right, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay, I have not, but I'm aware of it. But Beast, it's about a guy who takes his 2 daughters. I think his wife passes away, and he takes his 2 daughters to a South African village where she's from. And while there, they go on a safari or whatever, and a crazy-ass lion attacks and trying to survive. So while making the movie, they're casting all the parts, being in 2 of those parts being Idris Elba's character's daughters. Apparently, his daughter applied for the role. Elba's 20-year-old daughter auditioned for Beast and didn't win the role because she lacked on-screen chemistry with her actual father. I'm not making this up. Now, there's a little bit more nuance to it. She wants to be an actress. This is coming from Elba. She wants to be an actress, and she auditioned. And it came down to chemistry in the end. My daughter, she was great, but the relationship in the film and the relationship with my daughter the chemistry just wasn't right for the film. Weirdly enough. My daughter didn't talk to me for about 3 weeks after that. She's been described as being very gracious about not being picked for the role and even attended the film's premiere alongside her dad. Elba went to say, I'm really proud of her to go through that, you know what I mean, and then not get the role, but still come to the premiere. So I understand why. What they're basically saying here is that, because I think that his daughters in the movie, they went through a tragedy, all of them. The mother passed away, and I think they're supposed to be a bit estranged to a degree, and there's supposed to be a rift between him and his kids. And I think it's kind of a positive. You look at it and they're like, well, you and your dad had too good of a relationship. It doesn't seem like the rift isn't believable between you two. So that's one way. But I mean, on the surface, looking at it, well, I am his daughter. How am I not classified to play his daughter? I get it's kind of a funny story. Yeah. But I think it's cool that she, I could get that she's like, God, what the fuck? This should be a shoe-in. Hey, I want to get into acting. Your dad's a big actor. He's about to be in a movie. Needs a daughter cast. Done. I'm going to tell my friends. I'm going to be in this movie with my dad playing his daughter. Hell yeah. What? I didn't get the part. Why? Makes you wonder, did she go in maybe like a little bit too cocky? Like, I mean, I got this in the bag. But anyway, I think it's cool that, though, it's funny. She didn't talk to me for 3 weeks, but that she was, in the end, she said, okay, I get it. Gracious, went to the premiere and all that. But I thought this was just overall kind of a quick little funny story. Just curious. I haven't seen the movie. Is that what's going on in the movie? Is there like a rift there? Is that why she would you? Can you understand after hearing this that does this make sense why you wouldn't cast someone's actual daughter that they're on good terms with?
Yeah, because basically the mom dies of cancer and he wasn't there for him, so he unfortunately has to be the father now, and of course there's a rift because they don't really trust him as a father. And yeah, I mean, if you want to look at like a prime example of like how bad a father and son casting can get, look at like After Earth with Jaden and Will.
Ooh, yeah,
take a knee. It didn't work out too well. Yeah, it didn't work out too well. So,
yeah,
I get it. I think they understand. Yeah, I think Idris has been around long enough to understand. He's not at the level of crazy that Will Smith can be sometimes when it comes to the his family and stuff like that. But it's a movie that has to rely on family dynamics as the lion's attacking you and trying to eat you, and it just, I don't know, it happens. I'm sure a lot of parents and their kids are not put in movies for that reason.
I mean, that's the right reason. I'll say that much. It's the right reason that, even though this is your kid, she's auditioning to play your kid, it's just not right for the role. And I'm always talking about how put the right person in the role for the role, not because they're this. Usually we're talking about, their sex, their race, or nationality or whatever. No, in this case, this is the right one. I mean, this kid is the actual actor's daughter, and she didn't get the part because, no, it's just not right for the role. That makes me say, hey, I kind of want to see this movie now. I mean, before I was kind of like, it looks like whatever.
Yeah.
Just curious, because I know the movie's out, so I know you could talk about it. And I think you have a review of it. I haven't watched because I haven't seen the movie. Was it any good? Is it worth seeing? Should I wait?
You'll see on Peacock next month. It's fine. It's a Cujo meets Ghost in the Darkness. It's 90 minutes. There's some good action. There's some terrible CGI. It's a movie about poaching, about anti-poaching. It's a movie about a lion that loses its herd and decides it's going to murder everyone. It goes on a Cujo rampage, basically. People are stuck in a car for half the movie. Sharlto Copley is in it.
Feline Cujo. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Pretty much.
Well, like I said, just a quick little short story. Idris Elba's daughter's not his daughter enough for Beast. So
yeah.
If you've seen Beast and you think, no, I think Idris Elba's daughter would have been great for it. Even though we haven't seen her in anything else. But either way, let us know. Alrighty. So that is the end, ladies and gents. I did have one more story, but like I said, we're already about 10 minutes over my time limit. And this last story I was kind of debating anyway.
This
Real
is the
quick.
Avatar sex story.
Yeah, damn, yeah. That was the 7th story. I was going to talk about diversity. I worked for a minute to get this background, so I just had to throw it up there. But ultimately, California has a new diversity law going in for tax credits for movies. And how I felt about that. I think diversity is a good thing very much. I think that we should try to be diverse and have diversity, but not at the behest of the creativity. And it doesn't need to be forced. And I feel like this law could possibly... Does the law itself do it? Maybe not, because the law is vague enough. But I think it will push things to being forced. And that is not the answer. I think that, yeah, diversity is a thing that needs to be worked on. And we need to put some stuff in place to allow diversity to happen naturally. When it is forced, it's just that, like anything else, it's forced. And I know it's kind of like, well, if we just allow it and we don't force it, people might not do it. And you're right, they might not. But if you force it, it ain't going to come out good either. So it's like, it's a catch-22, I know. But anytime something is forced, it never works out. I mean, look at She-Hulk. Ooh, hot take.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about She-Hulk.
Yeah, I don't either.
People the wrong way.
Because I watched it. Could have been a good show, by the way. Could have been a good show. But want to talk about forced? You want to talk about... You ever seen that scene in, I think it's Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5? Maybe 4. I can't remember, where the mother is actually Freddy Krueger, and she starts like force feeding the girl stuff until her head's like this big, and like she's a bulimic, I think, in the movie. And like he's just sitting there like ramming it down her throat. Yeah, that's She-Hulk. It's ramming something down your throat. It's taking a big veiny message and just shove it down your throat. Diversity, though. But no, I don't want to. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that thing, and I don't really want to get into it. But
yeah,
just check if you're interested in that kind of stuff. Check it out. There's a tax credit, California. It's out there, the story. So go. I don't like force shit. Stop forcing things on me. Okay, but that's the show, ladies and gents. Thank you very much for hanging out and coming and seeing us. Nick, tell us about what's going on over at the Pleasure Emporium there, the movie Emporium, which is very pleasurable. Tell us about what you got going on.
This week in Pleasure Emporium, Avatar sex. No,
there is actually a porn of Avatar.
Oh, I know.
And it's in 3D.
I'm sure it is.
They're blue and
I'm
everything.
sure you have it on your computer right now.
I don't, but I've seen the box at a boutique store. Just saying it exists.
You got that VR headset for the 3D porn.
Special effects and everything, but yeah. And it is in 3D. I remember that. I almost wanted to buy it just for that, but yeah, just side note. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, you're good. Right now, not much of anything. We got the next episode of The Fifth Dimension coming up. I gotta watch it out. There's a movie I do have to watch that I'll put out a review for next week. But it's quiet right now. There's not really much to talk about. Maybe I'll do a review of the first episode of the House of Dragon series. I don't know. Maybe I'll take a week break. I gotta prepare for what do I want to do anything for the year anniversary of our podcast, that type of thing. But for right now, yeah, just the next episode of the podcast, and then review for something next week. And I think that's it at the moment. I think I'm seeing 3,000 Years of Longing on Monday. I'm not sure, depending on how tired I am. So maybe that.
Cool.
That's pretty much it.
I don't know what 3,000 Years of Longing is, but
Idris Elba and his daughter. Really? Them trying to have chemistry for 3,000. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's the one where he plays a George Miller, plays a djinn.
Oh,
it's like
okay.
a genie movie. Yeah.
That could be it. The last djinn movie I saw called Djinn was actually pretty good. So, over on my channel, I've got the Almost Awesome show happening, and more little bits of this show coming out. If you missed part of the show, well, I'll put all these out in more digestible bits as the week goes on until next Wednesday. We will be back Wednesday afternoon at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. My next stream, as you know, or those of you that hang out here often, you know that the Wednesday night streams are no longer a every Wednesday thing. I will stream again this week. I will be doing it during the day, either on, I know this isn't as specific, but Monday, Tuesday, or Monday or Tuesday. It won't be Wednesday. So Monday or Tuesday, I do plan on having a stream. And what I'll be streaming, most likely, I'm waiting on a part. As some of you may know, my last stream I had was building my Ultimate Dreamcast, which we did some soldering and some working and replaced the shell and got some stuff. It's sitting over there disassembled right now. But I'm missing 3 parts. I got one of those parts, the main part that I'm most terrified to do in, which would be the HDMI, DC HDMI kit. I have that. I'm kind of scared to do that venture. That's the most scary part of the whole project. I was hoping to at least get my fan mod in because it goes down in there as well. But there's 2 more parts I'm waiting on now. I'm going to check and see if one of them came in the mail today. If not, maybe Monday. And if it came in, I'll definitely do it, and then maybe do that last part on another stream. But I don't want to do a stream where I just do that. So if not that, then I may play a game. Maybe Death Stranding. We were talking about that earlier. Maybe I'll check out Death Stranding finally on the stream. But I will stream something at some point, somewhere, somehow in the next few days. I'll put a post up at least a few hours prior to doing it. Maybe I'll do some more Captain Power because those went over so well. But yeah, nobody showed up for that shit. I did it twice. I might do it anyway. Just fuck it. I'd do me. But that's the show. Thanks to everybody who showed up for showing up. It looks like we've got Magical was here per usual. James Downs was here. What's up, James Downs? I saw a couple of people over on Twitch. Ghost Hand 246. Didn't see Antonio.
Yeah,
maybe he's working
Henry Boy as well.
Henry Boy 11. What's up, my man, Henry Boy? And there were some others. I appreciate everybody who came by and checked out the show today. If you missed it, which I know some people did, missing a few regulars, check out the news bits part that'll be coming out over the course of the next few days. I got some another video that's coming out today. I honestly can't remember which one it was, but it's a little bit that we did from one of the other episodes. Did my trailer reaction to the Sega Genesis Mini 2 reveal, where I geek out over some Sega CD announcements that I put out yesterday. Check that out. And what did I? Glorious. Glorious is the last movie I reviewed. Doing fairly well. Check that review and movie out. And I may do a day shift review. I planned on having it out yesterday. It may be too late now. I don't know. We'll see what I got. Let me look and see what movies people have sent me. I'll have another review. I'll do some other reviews. I will be doing a patron requested review of a movie here on the show very soon to my wonderful patrons, who I know I've slacked on that. Sorry, but that is coming. I'm probably going to hit you up with 2 of them this month to make up for it. Maybe 3. We'll see. But that's all I got. That's all Nick's got. Check us out on our socials. Nick, our Movie Emporium over on Twitter and YouTube. Check out his channel. Check out my Pleasure Emporium. Check out mine, Jacob Anders Reviews, and Red Neville 2 over on Twitter. All right. I think that's all I got. I need to come up with a better fucking outro. I don't know. But anyway, see you guys next week on Wednesday. Bye.